You're all set. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Town Council meeting. Here we are, March 4th, 2021. Time on my clock here is 7:04. Make a quick announcement. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, I must inquire whether anyone is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make your presence known at this time. Not hearing any. Madam Clerk, could we please get a roll call, please?
Councilors. Batchelor.
Present.
Hogan.
Present.
Clark.
Here.
Cullum.
Here.
Dagwan.
Here.
Rappachetti.
Present.
Hebert.
Present.
Levesque.
Here.
Neary.
Here.
Neff.
Here.
Shaughnessy.
Here.
Starr.
Here.
Steinhilber.
Here.
We have quorum, all 13.
Excellent. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Sarah, if you could everybody mute their microphone. Councilor Cullum is going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Cullum. At this time, I'd like to, if we could all just take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. All right, so at this time, something, a little bit new, so to speak, or something we haven't done in quite some time. I just wanted to recognize a couple of gentlemen that have been recognized. So I don't necessarily want to award somebody that's been awarded, but I did want to recognize because these two gentlemen are from our town. And those two gentlemen received the 2021 Black Excellence on the Hill Award, which is Representative Steve Exaros, nominated Barnstable Police Officer Brian Morrison, and Representative Diggs recommended John Reed for the award, and they both were awarded that on February 26, 2021 in a virtual Capitol Hill event. And so I just, this tells a story not only about what's happening at the State House, but tells really a story about what's happening here in Barnstable. And, knowing of Mr. Reed and knowing, and being able to call Brian Morrison a friend to many here in the community, I just wanted to make sure and give them a shout out because I thought that was worthy of doing so. So without further ado, do we have them in the waiting room by any chance, Sarah?
I see them on the screen, Matt.
Oh, you know what it is? I need a bigger, very good. Thank you very much for saying I need a bigger monitor. So they are with us. So without further ado, I'd ask Councilor Deborah Dagwan to introduce and congratulate Mr. John Reed. Take it away, Deborah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to congratulate Mr. John Reed for being awarded Excellent on the Hill Award. John L. Reed has been a mentor, community leader, and trailblazer on Cape Cod for the past several decades. He was born in Boston, went to Dorchester High School, and graduated from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. After continuing his education at Salem State University and Bridgewater State University, he was recruited to teach at Barnstable High School in 1973. We know his age, right? He taught social studies at BHS for 37 years and was an inspiration to countless students. As a recognition of his outstanding teaching career, he received the final National Education Association Honorary Council Trendolum Memorial Award at the association's 42nd Annual Human Civil Rights Award dinner in 2008 in Washington, D.C. A member of the NEA Board of Directors, Mr. Reed served as the chair of the NEA Black Caucus for 2 years. He also held office in the Massachusetts Teachers Association as well as the Barnstable Teachers Association. In 1973, he started a school organization at Barnstable High School, Imani Club, which offered students civic instructions, field trips, and facilitated community projects that encouraged leadership and cooperation. Mr. John Reed has always been an active and a real leader. He is the past president of the Cape Cod chapter of NAACP and has worked tirelessly in local and state law enforcement officials on civil rights and racial justice issues. He was also the chairman of the Barnstable Civil Rights Committee for 6 years, a member to hundreds of Cape citizens. He says his mentor in the early days was Joseph DeLuke, a well-known Cape civil rights leader in his own right. Mr. Reed has also been a member of the State Democratic Committee. Mr. Reed is currently the executive director of the Zion Union Heritage Museum in Hyannis, which highlights the rich and varied arts and culture history of the African American and Cape Verdean community on Cape Cod. And I personally want to thank John. John was one of the people who recruited me to run for office. I was kicking and screaming, but he said, you need to do it. I think people will vote for you. I didn't believe in myself at that time. He did. And I just want to thank him for that. And he's very deserving of this award. So I'm happy that they nominated.
Excellent. Thank you.
Just,
Thank you, Council Dagon.
how's my mic? Is it still terrible?
And at this moment, Mr. Reed, would you like to offer some words? You're on mute, sir. You're muted. Oh. Mr. Reed, you're muted. There you go.
I want to thank everybody for supporting me for all these years and believing and having confidence that we can raise the community and generations of young people to get to the places where we can't go. In 1973, I came here as a solo act, but I have to admit something. Since then, we have tried to build a community. Everybody's joining at the table to make this place better. And I am forever a Barnstable person. Although I live in West Yarmouth, I'm a Barnstable person who moved over around the hospital area. So I want to thank the town council. I want to thank the state legislature. And also, I want to thank Tippy Diggs for nominating me. Thank you.
Well deserved. Thank you. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Bravo. Well, if you could stick around, Mr. Reed, I'm sure Mr. Morrison would attest to the fact that that trailblazing, that path that you blazed was a path that Officer Morrison walked on. And
I'm not going anywhere.
good, I'm glad to hear it. And so I did want to congratulate our Barnstable police officer, Brian Morrison, and also my dear friend. Brian joined the Barnstable Police Department in 1997 and has been a terrific representative of the department in the town of Barnstable. He has been assigned as the department's youth and community officer since 2017. Quite honestly, I can't think of a better person to hold that position. And it's stationed at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. He is also our department's civil rights officer, a member of our mountain bike unit, honor guard, adopt a school officer for Hyannis West Elementary School, And most recently, Brian has become an instructor in the fair and impartial policing. In addition to Brian's work, he's incredibly involved in our community, and that is an understatement. He's a founding member of People of Action, Barnstable community organization dedicated to creating a better Barnstable through uplifting action. And he's Lieutenant Governor for the Kiwanis International Club, a member of the Elks Lodge, the Masonic Lodge, the Shriners, and the Moose Lodge, and works with Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and he's a past Big Brother, Big Sister, Big Brother of the Year award recipient. Just threw that in for good measure. He's often described as the unofficial mayor of Barnstable. Brian's recognition is well-deserved. His commitment to Barnstable and empowering our youth is unparalleled. Barnstable Police Department and the town of Barnstable, fortunate to have him and all that he contributes to our community. And just wanted to congratulate Brian, and again, Mr. Reed. Like I said, this type of thing, to me, when I read both of these, I knew that these were linked. These men were linked, and these in our community, and I just thought that it was important to recognize that they were recognized. And again, I didn't want to steal Representative Diggs or Representative Zaros' thunder. It is the award that they presented, but I just thought it would be a good idea to be able to recognize that for the people of Barnstable, two very important citizens that continue to have impact on our community. And that being said, Mr. Morrison, Brian Morrison, my friend, would you like to say anything?
Sure. First of all, thank you, President Levesque, for having me on. Town Council and Town Manager, appreciate it, being here tonight. You already stole my thunder. Yes, I would definitely like to thank Mr. John Reed and congratulate him. He definitely was a trailblazer and, you know, cleared that path for younger people such as myself. And he is still going strong. So that's, he's always been someone to looked up to. We used to always call him, the kids at school, we called him our second dad. You know, if our first father didn't get a hold of us, Mr. Reed certainly would. So he's always been there. He's family. So I appreciate all the work he has done. And just really thank you to Representative Zaros for nominating me as well. That was a big surprise. You know, obviously, like Mr. Reed, we don't do things for awards and citations. We do things because the community means a lot to us, and we're trying to make it a better place for everybody. And certainly, like he said, you know, we start out as a solo act, but can't do it without the support of everybody else in the town. From the smallest person to the biggest person, you know, whatever, all walks of life, it takes as the old saying goes, it takes a village. And it really does. This community has been wonderful throughout everything. And I also got to thank the police department for giving me opportunities for me to do what I'm doing. So it's a great job I have, and I'm lucky to be a part of such a wonderful town, born and raised. And obviously, my parents before me, they instilled great characteristics in me. So you know, I'm proud to. It makes me proud of that. I'm doing them proud. So I'd like to thank everybody for this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison, Officer Morrison. I just wanted to open the floor and offer anybody else an opportunity. If you could keep your words direct and timely, and I would appreciate that. Council Steinhilber, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd be remiss not to say anything because I've known both of these guys for a while. I still got to call him Mr. Reed because he was my teacher back in high school, my American government class. And if you think back, I think all of us can think back over our school career, high school career, and, you know, maybe 1, 2, 3 teachers really stand out. And he was certainly one of those teachers for me. One of the things we had to do in his class was he would send us to the town council meetings. So probably about 22 years later, you know, I got elected to the council myself. So I definitely felt lucky to be a student of his back in Barnstable high school days, and just been a great member of the community. So thank you, Mr. Reed. And Brian, known you for a long time. Kiwanis, all the stuff you've done in the schools. You seem to be everywhere all the time, just part of everything in the community. Feel lucky to be your friend and just an outstanding member of the community. So thank you both for all you're doing.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric.
Anybody else? Councilor Atlas, please.
So I, like Eric, have had the pleasure of knowing Mr. Reed dating back to my days in high school, maybe even a little bit before that. I don't know if I was fortunate to have him as a teacher, but he was always there in the hallways, always kind, had a kind word, always had a funny word to share with me, but would always put his arm on my shoulder and offer me some words of advice. And as we got older and I became an adult and got out in the more in the workforce and involved with some local activities myself, Mr. Reed was always there to offer me guidance and encouragement. And I just want to say thank you, Mr. Reed. I probably never had this opportunity to tell you before, so I'll do it now. You've been an inspiration, a role model, and I appreciate everything that you've done, not just for me personally, but for this community. And of folks of all walks of life, you've touched thousands of people, and I thank you for that. Brian, man, we go back to Little League, Arnold Baker's. I think I was taller than you back then, but my, how that's changed. But Brian certainly was, as long as I've known him, he's always been just a kind, giving, supportive person, always have you back, kind of guy you want to have in a dark alley with you or in a trench, I would assume. He not being in battle that way, but I think Brian's the guy I would want with me. And Brian, Brian, I know you don't do it for recognition, but you deserve it. Believe it or not, I know you don't like to hear it, you're a pillar in this community. You set an example for so many, not just young children, but adults alike. And your family should be proud of you. I know they are. Your parents are proud of you. Would be proud of you. Certainly, nothing but the best for you, and obviously for Mr. Reed. Thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you, Mick.
Well said, Councilor Atlas. Well said. Anybody else like to say? Councilor Bogan, please.
Mr. Reed, Officer Morrison, I commend you. You are a model not only to people of color and young people of color, you are a model for all citizens in the town of Barnstable. And the reason is, as you said, Brian, it's not because you do it for the recognition, you do it because it's the right thing to do. And it's apparent that that's been the legacy that both of you leave. So I commend you and thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bogan. Anybody else? Councilor Shaughnessy, please.
Thank you, President Levesque. So I was always upset as a native Cape Codder that I was not allowed to attend Barnstable High School and I was shipped off to private school. And tonight I have one more reason to feel upset about that. So I'm sad that I never got to go to Barnstable High School and meet Mr. Reed. I feel very fortunate to know Officer Morrison. And what I want to say to you, Brian, is that the million times that I've seen you down at the Youth and Community Center with the kids, the way you are with those kids, the way those kids look at you, they love you. And that's a testament to you and how you are with them. So I am just so proud of the two of you. I really hope I get to make your acquaintance, Mr. Reed, because I felt incredibly inspired tonight hearing about all the things that you've done in your career. But congratulations, well deserved. And I'm honored to be a member of the same town as the two of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. Anybody else? I'm going to give the last word, which I planned on doing anyway, to Councilor Dagwan.
I'm just going to be quick. I just want to say something to Brian. Brian is the example of a community police officer. He's a natural. He just fits in with the elderly. He's great with the kids. He's great with the teens. And he's always willing to give a helping hand. And so I'm so proud that he is in our town and that he received this award today as well. He's a great family man. I noticed when I came in so many times he would be taking his mother around to do various things, make sure. I mean, I love to see that, just that love and care that he has for not only his mother, but his father too, and his sister. Brian, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You make me
Councilman.
proud.
Thank you for your insight. So again, thanks for being with us. Congratulations. And, I just, obviously it's an honor to be in a virtual meeting and on Beacon Hill, but I hope this was able to touch you as well and show both of you how important and how revered you are in our community. So thank you for joining us. And I firmly believe you both continue to do great things. So thank you for that. I appreciate you being with us. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for everybody who commented. Thank you for indulging me as well. Like I said, I just thought, just wanted to take that opportunity to recognize their recognition, I guess. So that being said, go back to Sarah, and is there anybody waiting? And I want to just open up for public comment, please.
We have a few people. Okay, first up for public comment is Megan Newman. Megan Newman. Can you have 3 minutes?
Thanks so much. I'm here on behalf of a group of abutters, neighbors, and Cape Codders who are all deeply concerned about the entire nature and impact of the proposed development at 35 Scudder and the density in particular of this housing development. We'd like to understand the approval processes so that the issues related to the welfare of the community can be expressed early in the process. Before this gets any further, we'd like the following issues both carefully examined and have opportunities for public comment. The location of this 300 plus apartment cluster will be in an area currently zoned for single family dwelling. The Greenwood Avenue neighborhood has for generations been a quiet area whose residents enjoy a backdrop of greenery and streams. The addition of a high-density housing complex would hugely impact the quality of life for longtime taxpayers abutting the property, but will also have an impact for all those living and working in the west end of Hyannis and beyond. LMC stated that the housing project will be professionally run, that subletting will be prohibited, that the price point will be attractive to teachers, police, and other middle-class professionals. But how are we to assess these claims? Have local businesses been contacted to ask if these apartments will be within the reach of their employees? How will the subletting provision be enforced? It's easy to see how this could turn into another short-term rental building, obviating what seems to be a turnkey solution, solving the rental problem in downtown Hyannis with one large project. We need more clarity on how the need for this particular type of housing has been assessed. Further, the addition of as many as 600 or more new residents and their cars in this already traffic-choked area is every local's worst nightmare, one that will ripple out well beyond the West End Rotary. The added traffic will be frustrating and potentially dangerous for motorists and pedestrians, but may also limit access for fire and emergency services. The comprehensive traffic impact assessment should determine the effects of this project on the transportation and traffic systems, including both the substandard West End Rotary and secondary and tertiary roads for at least a mile in all directions. What is LMC's plan for improving and underwriting the infrastructure enhancements that this project certainly demands? Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Noonan.
Next is Elizabeth Lewis. Ms. Lewis, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. Good evening. I'm here to speak to the environment part of this letter. that was given to you. This is the last green parcel left in downtown Hyannis. While it's considered already developed due to its long use as a golf course, it is in fact a 40-acre tract of verdant space and wetlands. As we are all aware, the degradation of our water systems threatens the entire Cape. Our creeks, ponds, estuaries, and bays are all part of this fragile ecosystem. We have severe wastewater issues and a threatened single source aquifer that provides the entire Cape with drinking water. We need to closely examine how this massive complex built beside a vulnerable wetland will complicate this picture. The project should be evaluated by the Massachusetts Environmental Protection Agency, given how near it is to sensitive and vulnerable Stewart's Creek estuary. We need to hear about how LMC intends to address sewer runoff, nitrogen, and the like. And if they are not prepared to a robust approach to this, then the town should walk away. Has this even been asked of LMC? Flooding and pollution. Please refer to the Massachusetts Sea Level Rise and Coastal Flooding Viewer. These maps illustrate the development's vulnerability during a significant storm, including a strong hurricane. Direct access to this area would be limited during such an event. Additionally, the USACE Stewart's Creek project for the improvement of the approximately 14 acres of estuary habitat of Stewart and Joshua Creeks was a hugely costly, still evolving project. Will this development upend any progress made? How can the town prevent further degradation of the creeks, which puts Keys and Fortes beaches at further risk? Finally, we'd like to hear from you how this particular project advances the town's stated goals of smart growth and walkable communities, and how it promotes and enhances the general welfare of the town. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Have a great night.
Okay, you too.
Next for public comment is Ann Schulte. Ms. Schulte, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Ann Schulte of Centerville. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to address the council. Thank you. My husband, Bob, and I are pleased to have provided you with a citizen group petition signed by 322 citizens from all 7 villages requesting the formation of a resident zoning task force. This group would be advisory in nature and have no decision-making authority. This citizen request is directly in response to your expressed interest, greater citizen engagement, and on an issue of central importance to all residents. We ask and hope that each of you take residents up on their offer to work constructively and collaboratively with you. We submitted this petition under a provision that requires a town council public hearing on the subject of the petition. This was simply to show you all the seriousness of purpose. You could, of course, simply vote to create a resident zoning task force without a petition, without a hearing, or without any signatures. Indeed, from time to time, task forces and subcommittees have been created with no petition, no hearing, and even no council vote. We all hope and ask that you consider and act favorably on the merits of the request very near term. We want to make clear that the request is specifically structured not to put demands, human resource or financial, on the town. The proposal contemplates that task force members, not town staff, will be responsible for the administrative work. Please do not reject this request based on the false premise that this would put undue demands on staff. We are interested in talking with you about its details, including making sure it is value additive, consistent with our intent. I know I speak for the 322 people included in the petition when I thank you in advance for allowing them all to do so in a COVID-safe way. We followed your lead in putting public health first by avoiding personal interaction, as you do, and we all thank you for serving as role models in this respect. If any of you have questions about intent or other ideas about how to make this task force more productive, please be in touch. If anyone watching would like to see the petition, please write to ourzoning@gmail.com. That's capital OUR, capital ZONING. Thank you for your time and consideration, and we look forward to your positive response. Stay safe and stay well, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Schulte.
Next for public comment is Roberta Mock. Roberta, now's your chance to speak at public comment. You have 3 minutes.
Ms. Mark, are you there? Ms. Mark, you are muted.
I'm so sorry.
That's
Can we
okay.
start that? Can I start now? Because I'll
You
say what I
can.
just went over again. Thank you. Okay, I'm in a unique location at 80 Greenwood. When I come down my driveway, you see my house, and right behind it is the creek. I get golf balls and greenery where I am. But more importantly, when there's a storm, I hear, I mean, there's times when there's pelagic birds that hide out in this area. Bluebirds, they need, if you notice, they put posters up on golf courses because bluebirds need the open space as part of their nesting. Screech owls, I know Peter Trell is on a screech owl project making boxes. I think that we need to employ him. I was at the last meeting. The corporate developers LMC mentioned that it would bring foot traffic. Actually, I want to say that I've done some studying at corporate developers. It's not solving the housing crisis. They're actually creating the housing crisis by grabbing prime property and developing it for wealthy. And that is what causes the housing crisis. I just had to say that. The Sturgis students run track, and I called the school finance. They run track, and I see them because all the time. They also are using the property. They don't have a field, so they've been using it for golf, and they've also used this whole area for track. The town uses this area for quite a few functions. It's wonderful, you know. They close up the area, and there's walking and running. I kind of think that this, I don't know if this would work, and I don't know if my neighbors would feel the same way I do, but I wondered, New York City had this situation, and they decided, you know, instead of everything being saloons, let's have some green space or protect it. Of course, the less traffic around that rotary, and I wouldn't call it a substandard, I would call it quaint. There's a lot of history with the Melody tent. And that rotary, I just remember that wonderful gentleman that used to do the flowers every year, that used to own the golf course. I mean, there's a lot of character in this neighborhood that I'm seeing. It makes me cry to see what's happening. If they took that rotary away because they think that it's more important to put apartments in this area, I don't understand why the town. I talked with Joe Hawley at the Barnstable Land Trust. I know they're looking for property. Why not use the property at that golf course on 132 for, if we really do need more apartments that I don't know how affordable these are going to be, but and keep our golf course here. Have maybe a collaboration with Hyannisport member golf course. I know one of the members there who used to be on a triathlon, who did in Hawaii. I mean, if this was something, I don't even know if this is if many people think of this, but if we, instead of using asphalt, had walking and running paths, and maybe a little bit of kayaking on the creek if we ever got it healthy. I also talked with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Ms. Mock, you need to wrap up your comments, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm going to wrap up right here because we started this project with the floodgate. Let's finish it by restoring the herring run, get the Mass Fisheries involved with the glass seal project, and really finish cleaning up this end of town. We do not need another cluster of traffic on the west end. We already have it on the other end of town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mock.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
Sarah, anybody else?
That is all for public comment at this time.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for everybody who participated in public comment. Now I'd like to open the floor for council response to public comment, please. Who would like to go first? Councilor Bogan, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, with regard to Ms. Newman, Ms. Lewis, and Ms. Mock, your concern is genuine. That's apparent. And you are echoing many of the sentiments that were expressed at the last meeting. I can assure you that we as a council will do our best to evaluate all of the concerns that you have raised, whether they be traffic related, environmental related, and whether or not it's the best use of the property. So we do hear you, and thank you for making your views heard. As to Ms. Schulte, thanks as always for your poise and consummate presentation. I guess what I would say is it is admirable that you folks took on the task of eliciting the signatures. 322 in a very short period of time is laudable. The president has said continuously that he is committed to public civic engagement. And I can assure you we will take that under consideration as we consider the petition. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Bogan. Councilor Bogan, excuse me. Councilor Cullen, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of things I didn't speak quickly enough with regard to Mr. Reed and Officer Morrison, and I just wanted to say one thing that helped me when I was a new counselor, when I was looking to kind of jumpstart the Youth Commission and also get the Achievers program going, that you know, Mr. Reed was instrumental in explaining to me how the Youth Commission could be helpful. And then Officer Morrison really took the Achievers and ran with that as a mentor on that project, and I think still is on that project. But just, you know, really, really great men that have formatively changed Barnstable for the better, and I can't thank them for their patience and teaching when I was new. I really appreciate that. So congratulations on that. I'm sorry I'm late on that. And then for the folks on the 35 Scudder property, thank you all for coming. I've been in touch with Deb Crow from the Hyannis Civic Association, and also Kim McGuire and her husband Brian Hughes, and I know that they're really involved in engaging everyone and getting everybody on the same page with regard to LMC. And I know that there's an upcoming meeting that Deb Crow has arranged between LMC and the neighborhood. I'm going to ask that Elizabeth Jenkins flesh out process one more time so people know what the steps are going forward and maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with MIPA and all the other hoops that people are going to be jumping through at LMC to as they progress with their ID. Again, thank you very much for coming out and sharing your concerns. I hope that we can alleviate some of them as we go forward, and that at least you can have the process in front of you so you can understand where public comment is important. It always is here, but maybe at the county level or in other areas as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Cullen. Councilor Hebert, you had your hand up earlier. Would you like to comment, please?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. I would copy all the statements of Councilor Cullum in regards to Brian and to John, two fine men that we're blessed to have in our community. And most times, wherever you look, there was a need and they were there. So again, thank you very much. In regards to our folks, Elizabeth and Roberta and Megan, in regards to the development, we're still, I consider, very much at the beginning, and all your points are well taken. Message heard, message delivered, and I think the task of all of us to continue to weigh out the pros and the cons and the safety issues and the environmental issues. So thank you for speaking tonight. And to Ann Schulte, thank you for speaking up tonight. Thank you for sending out the reminder and sending out the petition that we put forth. I think that the council has many times, including the leadership, has expressed the need to engage and to appreciate the wisdom and the work and the contribution to our town that our citizens are making. So I'm hopeful that the council will take up your petition and that we will take it very, very seriously. And my hope is that we see a task force yet to be seen. But thank you so much for all coming out tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Hebert. Anybody else? Thank you. Presence known. Any other response? Oh,
Counselor Starr.
thank you.
Are we gonna, can Ms. Jenkins explain the process, just at least what the next step or two is where local people could get involved and feel like they know what the next step is? Thank you.
Director Jenkins, would you like to respond?
I'd be happy to. Good evening, councilors, members of the public. Elizabeth Jenkins, Director of Planning and Development. Last week, the proposed development at 35 Scudder had a hearing before the Cape Cod Commission on the development review process through which this proposed development will be considered by the commission. The commission did vote affirmatively to allow the developer to go through a development agreement process for review of the proposed development. At this point, the developer has not submitted an application for a development agreement, but that is the anticipated next step in the process. That application, again, would be filed with the Cape Cod Commission. And I imagine we'll have an abundance of information for the community, for the Cape Cod Commission, and for the council on issues that were raised tonight, like traffic, environmental impact, affordability, and so on. So the initial public hearings will be held at the Cape Cod Commission. We do anticipate, should the development review progress to the town, that there be additional hearings, public hearings at the town by the Conservation Commission, the Planning Board, as well as the council. So, we're happy to keep the council and the public informed of the process, the development review process as it proceeds. Thank you.
Mr. President, can I follow up with a quick question?
You may.
I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows where they can get that information. So I know that you've included myself and Deb Crow, and I believe Kim McGuire in those communications in the past. And I just want to make sure that they know who to contact, or that maybe I can talk to Deb Crow about forwarding your emails about next steps in the future. So is that correct that you emailed Deb Crow?
That's correct. So we've met with the Civic Association and indicated that, of course, we want to maximize communication on this process. And even though the development review process doesn't start with us, we're certainly involved and we play a role in that initial conversation and that negotiation with the commission. So to that end, yes, we've agreed to make sure that information about upcoming hearings are communicated to the Civic Association. And we'll continue to send those to the Civic Association president to distribute to her membership or whoever she sees fit.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Councilor Atzlis, do you have a question?
Just a comment and a question, Mr. President, through you, regarding the residential zoning task force public comment tonight by Mrs. Schulte. It's a sensible idea, supports and encourages public engagement, which I know we're all for here on this council. My question is, and I think I need to defer to Town Manager Ells on this. How does it relate to our comprehensive plan, forming a task force like that potentially? Thank you.
Town Manager Ells.
Actually, later in the agenda, we're going to get into discussing the steering committee that's associated with the local comprehensive plan. Okay. I think that, well, the petition before town council is something that can be considered by town council, certainly. And, the merits of considering what's being asked. Relative to the public engagement process, my suggestion would be that we look at what we're creating with the local comprehensive plan as far as a steering committee. And we also begin to look at, because that will be a limited number of participants, we begin to look at what other active groups are going to be created as part of moving forward with our local comprehensive. A major part of that is always looking at the zoning within our community. And whatever the decision of the town council relevant to the request for a citizen task force, that we make sure that it complements and works with the efforts that we're going to embark on here with the local comprehensive plan. And I would recommend that we look to our planning and development director to share with us how we would go forward, certainly with local comprehensive planning and engagement of the public, and certainly a discussion moving forward relevant to public engagement and zoning, and make sure that it's something that satisfies our community and the town council and the needs of moving forward with the local comprehensive. So I know that's kind of a larger answer, but we've got some major efforts, I'm assuming, that we're embarking on here, and we want to make sure that our citizens are heard, their comments are, are part of what we consider moving forward, and that we do it in as an effective, we do it in as effective means as we can. Does that answer your question, Councilor?
It does. Thank you.
Excellent. And again, we will touch on that later on in the agenda, a little bit more in depth, continually explaining that. I just wanted to make that clear as well. Any other councilor comments? Okay, not seeing any.
Sorry, Council President.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Clark, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this time. In hearing the concerns for the residents regarding the 35 Sutter Ave development, and also hearing that we want to maximize public engagement, or at least knowledge, dissemination of knowledge and opportunities to weigh in. I was wondering if, even though this has been driven or is now in the custody of the Cape Cod Commission, if a link could be set up under a planning and development page that might say next phase is this, or upcoming is this, or sign up for updates, as you have with some of the other large issues like short-term rentals and ADUs, because it's more than the Hyannis Civic Association that may have interest in this project, but a broader section of our town residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Clark.
May I make one comment?
I'm sorry.
This is Roberta.
I know, Ms. Mock, there's not a back and forth in regards to.
No, it's not a back and forth. It was because I was.
This is Mock. Ms. Mock,
with my
Mock, I'm sorry. There's no further comment. You can feel free to, if you have a direct question, you can find any of our contact information on the website, and you can feel free to contact us. But unfortunately, there isn't any response after Councilor comment. Councilor Dagwan, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I live in the area where the proposed Scudder project is. I've lived in that area for 40 years now. And the traffic has really increased. Although the town needs the housing, needs the revenue, very important. There was also a performing arts center that was proposed there that didn't fail, and it failed for the same reason, traffic. And I haven't seen anyone come forth with a suitable traffic plan that I would support. The traffic has doubled. So for me, I would not move forward on this project because I would never get out of my house. I'd never get around the block. At the lunch hour between 12 and 2, it's just backed up. And so that hasn't been addressed. So that concerns me. That's my major reason why I wouldn't support the project. And I just want to say to those about the task force that, it's always nice to have civic engagement. And if you don't get the task force, there are other opportunities through the town to accomplish the same thing. Some 30 or so subcommittees here. They're all advisory. That's another good way to listen in and find out the process. And as our town manager said, support our Elizabeth, who is such a jewel for us here in the town. She knows what she's doing, and she can be very helpful to any of you. So just consider those issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dagwan. Councilor Starr, please.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Levesque. I think I have a question for Katie Conley. So what is our next step with the petition? Does the town council have to, we need a legal opinion, whether it's a legal petition, and then we vote on it to accept it? What happens next?
Attorney Conley, if you want to answer that, or Attorney Nover, if you'd like to answer that.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. Thank you, Mr. President. Karen Nover, Town Attorney. The petition that was submitted actually did not have any signatures of the residents of the town. It's required to have, I believe, 150 signatures of registered voters. So it's not actually an official petition. Having said that, the council can obviously consider what's being asked in the same way you would consider something that was raised, at public comment. But the petition itself did not comply with the requirements of the charter.
So what's our next move? Can somebody make a motion to accept it the way it is?
I would not accept it the way it is because, again, I would not deviate from what the charter requires. But again, that does not mean that the council could not consider whatever it wishes to consider with respect to the subject matter of the petition.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilor Bogan.
Not to belabor the point, but and certainly Mr. President or Attorney Nober can correct me. As I understand it, Councilor Starr, because the petition was submitted with electronic signatures but not wet signatures, the town clerk could not accept it. But to your point, and I think the president alluded to it earlier, that does not, and the town council just alluded to it, that doesn't mean that the council itself could not do something, which goes to your question of, well, does it require a motion? As I understood what the town manager said and what the president has said, it's basically going to be taken under advisement for the moment, and we're going to figure out the best way to do what they want to do, given what is before us. Obviously, we don't want it to languish, but it's not going to fall on deaf ears. We're not going to let function overrule what is the best thing for us to do, or form to overdo function.
And if I could just add to that, if you were going to make a motion, I would not do it at this meeting, right, only because it's not on the agenda.
Okay. No, thank you, Mr. Bogan. I think that clarifies. I mean, I think when we get to the local comprehensive plan and the process involved in that, we'll understand better how it all fits together. Thank you.
I love it when a plan comes together. Both comments basically echo what I was going to say. Doesn't mean we're not going to. We were listening all along anyway without receiving a petition. We've responded. We're considering it. And again, yes, some of this subject matter, I think, let's just give it some time. And we talked about, as far as public engagement goes, this local comprehensive plan that's coming up on the agenda tonight directly is because of public engagement. And this is the plan of all plans. This is the plan that is the foundation that all master plans are linked to. And without trying to put the cart before the horse, this is something that needs to be done every 10 years. And it's been over 10 years. So that's why we're here today. And that's why it's on the agenda. And leadership, Vice President Schnepp and I, and the town manager's office, that's why we put it on there. So that will, again, we can have continued discussion, but thank you for everybody for your comments. And again, in putting the importance on public engagement, because that is what we're trying to do here in the right process and doing the right things for the right reasons. Thank you. So without any other, seeing any further comment, I would like to turn it over to Town Manager Ellis for our Town Manager.
Councilor Neary had a comment. Councilor Neary.
Yes, just a quick one, and I apologize, Mr. President. I just wanted to state that I've had an opportunity to speak with Bob Schulte, and to echo your words, this will not fall on deaf ears. I did pick up on Ann's comments. I misunderstood it. I thought it was ourzoning.com as if it was a website. It's actually ourzoning@gmail.com for comments or folks that want to tie into that or receive information. But that's my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Neary, for that clarification. Okay. Now, back to you, Town Manager Ellis for Town Manager Communication.
Good evening, and thank you, Mark Ells. I'll take 1 second before doing my town manager communication to congratulate John Reed and Brian Morrison. I get to wear a more important hat than town manager, and it's the father of 6 children in this community. And I can tell you that both of these individuals have had an impact on my children. My oldest daughter, Elizabeth, knew Mr. Reed, and he got to interact with her in youth programming, and had such a positive influence. And that as a parent certainly is maybe the most rewarding thing that we see others do with us and for us. And certainly Brian Morrison knows all of my children know, trust, and look to Officer Morrison. And I can't thank them enough for taking the time to make a difference in our community. So as your town manager, thank you both. You've made a difference, a positive difference.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. Mark Ellis, Town Manager. This is my Town Manager update for the period of February 19th through March 4th. We'll begin the Town Manager update with Assistant Town Manager Clyburn, providing an update relevant to COVID vaccination efforts in Barnstable.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President, Town Councilors. I'm Assistant Town Manager Andy Clyburn. Joining me this evening is Hyannis Fire Chief Peter Burke to brief you on the latest vaccination efforts in Barnstable and hopefully answer any questions you may have. Before I begin, though, I cannot be on TV tonight without recognizing a group of Coast Guard heroes from Air Station Cape Cod for helping rescue 31 fishermen from a disabled vessel 130 miles south of Halifax this week. I would lose my retired captain status if I did so. So indulge me. The helicopter crews from our Air Station Cape Cod hoisted 21 fishermen to safety while battling 30-foot seas, 50-knot winds. Bravo Zulu to them. Now for the COVID brief. I'll caveat the brief as I have with each update to date, stating that I can assure you that whatever I tell you this evening will change, most likely more than once, and most likely as soon as tomorrow. As you know, the supply of COVID vaccine is extremely limited. That has not changed. However, we are optimistic that with the addition of a third vaccination option, we could see increased supply in the very near future. To date, we have requested, received, and administered less than 1,000 doses through our local health division and Hyannis Fire, despite ordering thousands of doses. Those efforts were in phase one and have already been briefed. This week, we were notified that we're going to be receiving 300 doses next week. We have a plan to go out to 4 Barnstable Housing Authority locations next Thursday and Friday. We have had productive conversations with Harbor Healthcare, who is currently doing 50 to 100 doses a day at the Zion Church, about partnering with them to increase their capacity. We're very optimistic that in the coming week, we may be able to pivot their operation to the Barnstable Adult Community Center, the Barnstable Adult Senior Center, and significantly increase the number of vaccines administered. Of course, again, that only happens if Harbor Healthcare is able to get the increased supply from DPH. We have the resources and the infrastructure to vaccinate. It's simply a lack of supply. One noteworthy development has been the approval of a Cape Cod COVID vaccine consortium led by Cape Cod Healthcare and Barnstable County. This consortium is now receiving vaccine and running vaccination clinics at 4Cs. Cape Cod Healthcare and Barnstable County are both vaccinating at 4Cs. Barnstable County has been administering the Pfizer vaccine, and Cape Cod Healthcare has been administering the Moderna vaccine. This week, over 2,000 doses were administered, and plans are in place to ramp that up to approximately 4,000 doses per week moving forward. The first few days of this week were all second dose clinics. Today, Cape Cod Healthcare started a first dose clinic for Moderna, and Barnstable County continued second dose Pfizer vaccine. Patients had the option to sit inside for their observation period or wait in their vehicle. Nurses are located outside in the parking lot to not only keep an eye for adverse reactions, but also to vaccinate anyone who is scheduled for an appointment but is not physically able to walk into the building. Traffic flow is controlled by 4Cs officers and volunteers and flowed nicely. Our safety officer, Megan Savage, has been our liaison to the site. Feedback from participants has been positive, with most everyone saying it was an excellent experience and very well run. There was minimal wait time and well organized considering you had two clinics running concurrently. As part of our role in the Cape Cod COVID-19 vaccine consortium, our Barnstable Council on Aging is identifying vulnerable adults over the age of 65 left behind by the current vaccine offering. Specifically, individuals who need assistance making vaccination appointments but are able to travel to 4Cs. In an effort to expand upon the robust information that our Council on Aging currently has, we will be asking anyone in this group or anyone helping someone in this group to provide information by email. The email address to send this information to will be put out by separate communication tomorrow. This is an effort to help our Council on Aging staff handle the volume of inquiries they're receiving relative to COVID. Phone line is also being established specifically for this purpose, which should also be operational tomorrow. We are not booking vaccination appointments. We are attempting to connect our seniors with Cape Cod Healthcare for direct vaccination appointment scheduling. In addition to this outreach through our Council of Aging, we've been actively working with our partners in the Brazilian community to help identify vaccine eligible members of the community and link them to potential vaccine providers. There are too many people to thank on that front, but clearly Michael Macinas of Health Ministries deserves recognition for his outreach to all the pastors of Brazilian churches and his use of social media to further his outreach to the community. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you may have for Chief Burke and I.
Council Clark, please.
Thank you very much, President Levesque, and thank you for that presentation, Assistant Town Manager Clyburn. You said this email will be going out. Is that going to be delivered to people with emails, and will it be available somewhere for folks without emails to get to tell their friends?
Absolutely. We're going to be pushing it out as widely as we can. We're very fortunate that our Council on Aging is so involved in the community that we were well ahead of this ever-changing playbook that we have many, many contacts, and we've been able to already put a lot of folks in touch. So yeah, we plan on disseminating as widely as we can. It is a challenge. As you allude to, we're trying to target a lot of folks that don't have email, don't have internet. And as we've been ever evolving, trying to develop that solution, we keep, we get to the point where, perhaps this is the solution. And then we realize, well, that solution is not going to work because it's precisely the IT solution that this population doesn't have. So yes, for the initial emails preferred simply for a volume, but we're going to be reaching out and establishing the phone line. Like I said, this will be going out. We can reach out through Council on Aging, Elder Affairs, and touch tons of people, as well as all of our social media, etc. So yes, we're going to do our best to connect folks. This is not a, the Commonwealth is not shifting its vaccination scheduling to Madeline Noonan. I don't want there to be any doubt that the intent of this is to connect a very targeted group that isn't able to otherwise get appointments with Cape Cod Healthcare. So, we ask that group, or if you have loved ones in that group, certainly use us. We want to do our best to make that connection, but this is not another pathway to vaccination for those that are anxious.
Can I make a quick follow-up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Clark.
I know in West Barnstable, I have been in touch with Director Donna Marie Burns about some elders who are homebound and do not have internet. So I know that is a harder reach, but it's causing a fair amount of anxiety in that sector of the population.
Sure, if I might address that. Clearly, this particular endeavor to connect folks that can go to 4Cs, one thing. The homebound is a whole separate issue that we are addressing. We are working to get, I think we're at about 150 to 180 now. And by the end of next week, the determination is going to be made how we handle that. Obviously, we've met with all of our fire districts. They're all in if we end up taking it. The state also has a program that perhaps they take that on, but we are working through that. They are on the radar and they will be reached.
I'll volunteer to drive nurses around. Thank you.
Any other questions for Assistant Town Manager Andy Clyburn? Councilor Shaughnessy, please.
I just wanted to add for Councilor Clark's benefit that the Adult Community Center, they have been calling a lot of these people for this entire 12 months. So they do reach out weekly by telephone. So they will not, when they've identified these people, they're not going to email. This will be a person-to-person call with them.
Very good, thank you. Any other questions? Just a piggyback and thank you for recognizing the good work that Michael Macinas and all of those at healthministriesusa.org, what they're doing, not only with the Brazilian community, with the Latino community. He's a gifted gentleman that speaks all these languages and can communicate in ways that not everyone can. So he uses resources to benefit that community. Is unparalleled. So thank you. Without seeing any other questions, thank you, Assistant Town Manager Andy Clyburn, and I would bring it back to Town Manager Els for continued communication.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Assistant Town Manager. The next item on the agenda is Lynn Poyat, our Director of Communications, and Lynn will share our video that walks you through the BarnstableWaterResources.com button on our homepage. Lynn?
Thank you very much, Mr. Manager. Good evening, Town Council. President Levesque. Um, it is my pleasure. As you know, communications staff worked very hard to create the BarnstableWaterResources.com website. Specifically, I'd like to mention by name Paula Hersey, who did yeoman's work on this project. And there's a multitude of information there, and people were saying, geez, it would be great if we could have someone to explain how to use this website. So I'm going to ask our award-winning Channel 18 staff, Sarah Beal, Paula Hersey, Chris Letta, and Stone Dow, created a video that is at the top of the website. And I'm going to ask Sarah if she can show the screen so that people will see how to get to it. And then she's going to play the video for you now.
Sorry, Lynn, you wanted me to share the website as well?
Yes, please.
Okay, just 1 second.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Not a problem. I have the technology. So the first thing is a lot of you have seen already. If you want to go to barnstablewaterresources.com, the easiest way to get to it is from the homepage of the town's website. There's a link right here on the left-hand side, Barnstable Water Resources, and that will bring you directly to barnstablewaterresources.com. On the website, as it loads, there's a wonderful amount of videos that we have here, but the very first video we'll see is the CWMP web guide. I'm actually going to show it to you from my computer, just so that I'm sure that it plays, so everybody can see it and hear it well. So here's the web guide video for you all to see.
Water quality is one of the most important factors in a healthy ecosystem, and clean water supports a diversity of plants and wildlife. Though it may seem unrelated at first, our actions on land affect the quality of our water. The town of Barnstable's commitment to ensuring that our water quality is healthy for future generations has begun implementing the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan, or more commonly known as the CWMP. The Barnstable Water Resources website is designed to help you and your family learn more about the factors that affect our water quality, the traditional and non-traditional solutions to some of the challenges we face as a community and region. Need to learn why the town of Barnstable has a CWMP, the steps it took to create it, and some of the frequently asked questions? Head to the wastewater plan link to begin your journey. Are you a property owner in Barnstable and want to learn more about the financial solutions that are available to the town to fund this 30-year plan? The Funding the Plan link has the draft sewer ordinance document and information from the Director of Finance that explains funding the CWMP equitably and fairly. Need to find a press release or meeting schedule? Would you like CWMP updates delivered straight to your inbox? The News and Updates section has all that and a sign up for the Community Current newsletter. There are many facets to protecting water quality. Would you like to learn more about protecting drinking water, our lakes and ponds, aquaculture solutions, or how sewers and pump stations work? The Water Quality Topics link is a great place to start discovering these subjects and how you can make a difference in protecting our water quality. There is so much to explore and learn. Check out the library link where you'll find archives of documents, videos, and even some maps. We are glad you're here. Water quality is important to all of us. Take some time to explore the many areas of this new website and bookmark for the future. Together, we will make sure that our water is healthy for future generations.
And that's it.
Very good. Nice, to the point. And, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Paula. Not only your video capabilities, but also your wonderful narrating skills. So, yes, that was an excellent presentation. So, Town Manager Els?
Thank you. Thank you. I'll continue on with my items in my town manager update. Town of Barnstable was informed on February 16, 2021, that Conservation Law Foundation filed a Clean Water Act complaint against the town, and CLF but the CLF have not yet served the town with the complaint, and the litigation process doesn't start until they serve the town. So we are continuing to pursue discussions with CLF, and we will keep you advised through future executive sessions as we progress through this legal matter. The town of Barnstable has led the region's efforts to protect and preserve our water quality, and with recent state approval of its comprehensive wastewater management plan, a 30-year plan focused on protecting the health of coastal, inland, and drinking water quality, we embark on perhaps the most aggressive infrastructure and resource protection plan in the history of our community. We engaged our community in the next phase of the plan involving the review of fiscal policy to support the implementation of the approved CWMP. And thank you, Director Poyant, for walking us through that. All I got to do is get people to the homepage and click on that button. If they can do that, then hopefully we can guide them through the use of gaining more information on this effort. A special town council meeting was held on October 29, 2020 to discuss proposed fiscal policy considerations in support of implementation of the CWMP. We've also provided subsequent reviews with town council and comprehensive financial advisory committee, which comprehensive and financial advisory committees review and report has been provided to town council at this point, civic groups, and the general public, and we will continue to do so as we progress through this important discussion. Fiscal policy under consideration would establish how to equitably distribute the remaining costs of our CWMP. And I propose to town council the following two-step approach. First, review and approve the proposed sewer assessment ordinance, which includes a sewer assessment to each individual property receiving the planned sewer. And then second, discuss the use of general funds to pay for the remaining portion of costs associated with proceeding with the CWMP. The town has stressed the importance of community engagement in the development and implementation of this comprehensive wastewater management plan, including the proposed sewer assessment ordinance. The following is intended to provide the town council with a brief update on outreach and community engagement regarding these efforts. Relative to public engagement sessions. Public engagement sessions to discuss the proposed sewer assessment ordinance were held on February 25th at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m. The sessions were publicized in the local media via social media, by email, and e-news sent directly to civic association and other community groups and individuals, and on Channel 18. The virtual engagement sessions were conducted via Zoom as a webinar and streamed live on Facebook and aired live on Channel 18 and streamlined on the town's website. Approximately 150 citizens participated in the live session via Zoom and Facebook, and many others viewed live on Channel 18. The sessions were recorded and posted to the website, and to date there have been more than 2,000 viewings of the three presentations. The next public engagement sessions are planned on March 25th at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m., and will be widely publicized in the community and will follow the same format. Meetings and presentations. Since 2016, more than 75 presentations regarding the CWMP have been made to the town council, community groups, town committees, and staff. Many of these sessions have been recorded and are available for viewing on the town's website. The town manager, assistant town manager, finance director, DPW director, and assistant director, and town engineer continue to provide presentations to a wide variety of civic groups and town officials. The focus of the meetings vary based on the group's interest and may encompass a CWMP overview, details on design issues, discussion of proposed sewer assessment ordinance, In the last 60 days, presentations have been made to Town Council, Comprehensive Financial Advisory Committee, Centerville Civic Association, West Barnstable Civic Association, Barnstable Youth Commission, Osterville Village Association, District Fire Chiefs, and the Waquaket Lake Protective Association, among others, or including others beyond that. Direct outreach is being made to all civic and village association and other businesses and community organizations to send them information about the CWMP and the proposed sewer assessment ordinance, and to make town staff available for special presentations and discussions with each individual group and their membership. Our website, Director Poyan has just reviewed with you, provides access to current news and information about the CWMP and the implementation efforts. Property owners can use the site to property lookup to find out if their property is included in one of the 3 sewer expansion phases. An introductory video that you've just viewed has been added to the homepage to introduce users to the site and explain where they can find information. The site provides access to primary documents such as the CWMP and the draft ordinance, as well as summaries of these and other materials. Site visitors are encouraged to sign up for the Community Current e-newsletter, which will be distributed electronically to provide regular updates on the CWMP, construction schedules, town council meetings and hearings, and other pertinent news. And then additional measures, town communications office staff is working with the town manager, DPW, and finance department to develop other communication tools, including brochures, explanatory videos, and various social media platforms. An Instagram page focused on water was added to the mix on December 23rd. And we currently have over 1,000 followers, and many are unique as they are not following the town's Facebook page or Twitter page. The Town of Barnstable YouTube channel, also with a water focus, was recently created, and we'll keep you advised of our progress on this important effort. We also have compiled the questions that were asked, the answers given, and other information from that February 25th series of webinars, and we'll be sharing that with the council shortly. We are proceeding with the tasks in the budget action calendar for FY22 as scheduled. We finalized the proposed FY22 capital improvement program and the plan to submit the proposed FY22 capital budget and plan to submit on Monday, March 8th. So you get a hard copy of that, and you may get an electronic copy on the 8th or before the 8th. The first read of the proposed FY22 capital plan is scheduled for March 18th, and the public hearings are planned to commence on April 1st, 2021. We are commencing final internal review of the proposed FY22 operating budget. And that we're beginning that March 22nd, 2021. And as I've described to you before, we are planning to present a level service budget proposed for FY22 to Town Council this year. As you remember, we went from a level of service to a level funded budget, actually a slight reduction in FY21 in response to the fiscal impacts of COVID. We feel confident, and Director Milner shared with you our revenue projections. So going into 22, we are returning to a level service budget proposal. And all this can be viewed on the town's webpage. We continue with regular conversations with Vineyard Wind regarding the status of the Phase 1 and Phase 2 project. Vineyard Wind continues to work with Barnstable staff regarding both phases of the project. They anticipate commencing construction on Phase 1 in the spring of 2021 and are proceeding with permitting on Phase 2. We have engaged in discussions with Vineyard Wind regarding a host agreement for the potential of phase 3. Vineyard Wind is scheduled to provide an update to Town Council on the status of their projects, both current and future, later this evening. We will keep you advised as this project progresses. That concludes the manager's portion of the update. I do have two updates, first by Elizabeth Jenkins, Director of Planning, and then followed by David Anthony, Director of Property and Risk Management. So if you'd like to ask me any questions, certainly I'll do that, and then I'll ask Director Jenkins to come up for her presentation.
Thank you, Town Manager Ells. Any questions for Town Manager Ells? Councilor Rep Grissetti, please.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you, Mark, for the update. You know, I was not able to participate in the February 25th webinar, but being mindful that it's one Cape and one aquifer and one town. I'm just curious, what would the rationale, this is regards to the sewer assessment, what was the rationale for not including all properties that have bedrooms or will have bedrooms contribute to the cost of sewering? You know, the sewer assessment was talking about just those that would be affected in the particular phases. And I'm just curious, and I don't have to have the answer tonight, but I'll be looking for that answer as to why the entire town is not being assessed to help in the efforts to clean the waters.
Well, I'll attempt to answer a portion of that, and I hope as we progress through this, we ask that and more specific questions. We are looking for our entire community to participate in this. The proposed sewer assessment that will be under consideration by Town Council is only a portion of generating revenue to cover the cost of expanding the recommended sewering portion of the comprehensive wastewater management plan. Because as you know, that involves more than just sewering, but that's where we're focusing on this discussion. So what the proposed sewer assessment does is assess directly an amount of money to those that are receiving the sewer. If we reflect back on what we presented today, about 57% of the costs will cover will cover that portion of the sewer expansion. A decision will be made by Town Council whether or not to assess a sewer assessment, and then what the dollar amount will be. That will cover a portion of that cost. And then the remaining piece of that would be covered through the use of general funds. General funds means that every taxpayer in our community pay a portion of that. Now, you can't assess, maybe to come more specifically to the question of sewer assessment, you can't assess everybody a sewer assessment. You can, under the law, you can only assess those receiving the ability to connect to the sewer, a sewer assessment. So really, we have broken it up into pieces, and Director Milne explained that the reason we believe a sewer assessment is appropriate and not just go all general fund is that when a property is sewered, it gains value. It gains value by the sheer fact that it has a reliable source of waste disposal. It gains value by the fact that in the future, it's not going to have to replace an on-site system. And therefore, some portion of this cost should at least be considered being assessed to those properties that receive this asset. And that's the logic behind why a portion of it is being recommended. The next discussion in step 2 is how will we deal with general fund? And we'll be taking that up after we know whether council is interested in proceeding with the proposed sewer assessment ordinance. Does that begin to answer the question?
It does. And, I know there's many people that are concerned that the cost of the sewer assessment will being borne on just those that are receiving the sewer might not be so equitable in the long run. Sure, they have to pay to be hooked up to the sewer, but in the long run, a portion of our town being sewer or not every house being sewered is going to benefit all of us as far as our water quality. So, but I don't want to get into the sewer assessment debate tonight, but that's something that is of concern. And I've always felt that I think everybody in the town of Barnstable should pay equitably and across the board on bettering our water quality. But more to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Representative. Great question. And thank you for your response, Town Manager Ells. Good answer. Anybody else? Town Manager Ells. Let me check my other page. Not seeing any other hands. If you would like to introduce the next part of your Town Council Communication Manager Ells.
I would, thank you. At this point, Elizabeth Jenkins, Director of Planning and Development, will provide an overview of the town's establishment of a steering committee for the local comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Manager Ells. Good evening, Elizabeth Jenkins. On January 4th, I provided you with information on the local comprehensive planning process and why it's appropriate and important that we begin this with our community now. I'm here tonight to give you the first of what I hope will be regular updates on the development of our local comprehensive plan, or LCP. And I'll be back later tonight to ask for your support to kick off the first step in this process, which is a community visioning project. Among the goals of a local comprehensive planning process is to connect the community with the town and to each other around a unified vision for our future, and to bring the voice of the community into the major decisions about growth and infrastructure with which we're faced, and to take that community input and carry it through to actions such as capital infrastructure planning, budget and resource allocation, and yes, zoning and other regulatory changes. The local comprehensive plan, and especially this first step, the formulation of a community vision, is one that we anticipate to be done for our community, by our community. And it's this first step in engagement and outreach that I'm here to report on, and that's the formation of a local comprehensive planning committee. Simply put, the LCP committee has the primary responsibility for development of the town's local comprehensive plan. The authority and process for establishing the LCP committee is derived from the Cape Cod Commission Act. And in Barnstable, that authority sits with the town manager. But as other guidance provides, achieving consensus and support of the town council on the local comprehensive planning committee is fundamental to the success of this process, beginning to end. So to meet these requirements and these goals, the process proposed is to have the town manager establish the committee, to have him work collaboratively with town council leadership on appointments, and to bring those appointments to the full council to be ratified. In terms of appointments, staff and planning and development has spoken with the Cape Cod Commission, and our team has looked at LCP examples in many other communities. Of course, ultimately, it's important that this committee be representative and diverse to allow the many voices in our community to be heard. And in consideration of the various issue areas that our plan must ultimately address, we suggest that consideration be given to the talented individuals that serve currently or formally on our boards and committees in areas that include planning and zoning, conservation, open space and resource protection, public health, housing and economic development, infrastructure and finance, youth and education, as well as several spots that are left open to assure, again, representation and diversity on the committee. And finally, consider the participation of ex officio members from the bodies that will be asked to finally approve the plan. In the coming weeks, we would like to work with the council to put out a call for members, establish an application or letter of interest process, and to put forward a committee to the council for ratification that will successfully guide our community visioning and local comprehensive planning process. I welcome your comments or questions now or in the coming days, and I thank you for your time on this issue.
Thank you, Director Jenkins. I, for one, am excited about the opportunity to, you know, again, engage the public to, you know, this is an opportunity to, again, nothing is wrong with what we've done before. It's just to set a path to where we're going and set goals and, you know, and move forward. So I'm excited about that opportunity to be able to do that with the community as a whole, representing all the villages and demographics, diversity, and I look forward to the opportunity with working with Manager Ells to make that happen. So that being said, is there any comments, questions for Director Jenkins? Councilor Hebert, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Elizabeth, if we're going to invite folks from various boards and commissions to be part of this, if I heard you correctly, we would be inviting some of our citizens who are already serving on boards and commissions to participate in the bigger group. Am I correct? Is that what you're saying?
I do think we should give consideration to individuals on boards, committees, and commissions. It's very customary in terms of the process and actually encouraged by some of the guidance that's put out by the Cape Cod Commission. As we progress in this process, we'll be required to speak to various issue areas that are laid out for us by the Cape Cod Commission. Including our built environment and infrastructure, our natural resources, our community systems that work. And so it seems that, you know, we have a good cross-section of people to pull from that have experience with the town that are from those boards, committees, and commissions, you know, should the opportunity and fit be there.
But so then included, if I could just, so included would be a broad spectrum of representatives from our various villages would also participate.
Yeah, ultimately, I think in terms of consideration of group development, yes, we would want to see representation. You know, this is a town-wide effort, one that's going to represent our entire community, and certainly the uniqueness of our individual villages and their voices have to be represented in this process.
Thank you very much.
If I might add to that, thank you. You know, my understanding of this process is that the steering committee is kind of a formal requirement of what we're embarking on. But to achieve true engagement by our community, it can't be limited to a small group of people. And I very much expect that there are going to be certainly subgroups representing, you know, whether it be village or housing or, you know, any issue that is a priority, natural resource and protection. And it's our intent to appropriately engage any and all in this process. And I think that Director Jenkins is mindful of that and is making sure that we give enough time to achieve that. And so that's what I understand of the process and that we intend to achieve with the process.
Thank you for that, Town Manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Hebert and Council Starr, and then Council Bogan.
No, as Ms. Jenkins, what I see is the steering committee is just a steering committee that will pull in lots of different groups and hear from different stakeholders many times. I mean, they're in charge of pulling in all the people and including the public. So we're not including everybody on the steering committee. Is that right?
Exactly. I mean, I see a fundamental function of this steering committee to, to, I think, ensure that this process, which is, at its core, a public outreach and engagement process, be representative, be inclusive, again, of all in our communities to help, of course, spread the word about this project to various networks and to bring awareness of history and context and current conversation, to all of these engagement efforts that go forward. And certainly when I talk about the community visioning process as we envision it later and as we go through it, there are all sorts of different engagement techniques I think we anticipate to employ as Manager L says to engage the full spectrum of our community in this process.
Thank you.
Excellent. Council Bogan.
Yeah, I don't know if it's well, let me ask a question first. Elizabeth, I know that it really ultimately is going to fall on the shoulders of the town manager and the president, at least in the first instance, as I understood you, for creation of the steering committee. But do you have a sense as to how many people you're thinking of as part of the steering committee?
I'd be remiss to put a number on it. I think it's important we have a manageable group size. We really want people to be actively engaged in this process and to have their voices be actively heard. And if that group gets too big, then I think we risk voices getting lost in that core group. I looked at prior local comprehensive plans that we did. The last time we did our local comprehensive plan, we used our 7-member planning board as our steering committee. The one that we did prior to that had a much larger group and then had an executive committee. So I think again, it's important to sort of look at the backgrounds we want to bring to this and ultimately, continue that review process to make sure that the group is representative and a good practice in putting groups together like this is sometimes to put the group together and then have them evaluate what voices are missing from the conversation. So I think there's always the opportunity to do that as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I guess at the end of the day, the devil is in the details. On the one hand, you do need all of the relevant stakeholders at the table, but you're right, you don't want it to be so large that it becomes unwieldy. One observation I will make, and it's what I hear from constituents, is that they feel like the same people make the decisions and that their voices are not being heard. So I do think there has to be some consideration, significant consideration, to having those members of the public, if we're really involved in civic engagement, that they have a seat at the table. Now, who that is and how many of them there are, I don't know. But otherwise, we're going to face criticism that it's the same people making the same decisions, and citizens are going to be frustrated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Logan. Any other councilor questions, comments? Councilor Rappacetti, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I remember I participated in the 2010 local comprehensive plan when I served on the historical commission, and that commission helped to define some of the the details in the cultural and heritage portion and historical portion of the local comprehensive plan. I think with regard to citizen engagement, I think it would be good to maybe pull from each one of our villages. The civic association, have a representative from each civic association participate perhaps in the steering committee, and then look to the other committees, standing committees of the town to hone in on details. But at least the 7 villages would be represented, in part on the development of the new plan. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you, Council Representative. Council Clark.
Thank you very much, President Levesque. Thank you for this opportunity, and I am looking forward to a new version or an update on the local comprehensive plan. As we have, I would say, dialed up our sensitivity to civic engagement, perhaps there could be periodic opportunities for surveys or citizen comments and on the website. You've done a good job of collecting some of that for SDRs and ADUs. And I recall early time where a similarly styled plan was done, and a survey, a citizen survey, was sent out after the plan was virtually done. And I thought it was insincere. So I'm wondering if we can get citizen engagement earlier in the process that helps fold in the vision before the job is done. Thank you.
I'll just say that is the intent of all of our public engagement. We're not looking to, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, we're not looking to check a box to say we brought our public into the process. We serve our public, and we want to hear from them, and we'll do everything we can to engage them in every process. And we'll create a committee taking, again, manager proposed, town council ratified. We'll together with our council select this group, this steering committee, and I do expect, as I described, there to be many subordinate groups working with us on this if we're successful in what we're attempting to do.
Thank you very much. I think that's healthy, and I see that it's become better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Clark. Appreciate your observation. Any other councilor question or comment for Director Jenkins? Not seeing any. Thank you. We will see you later in the evening. I appreciate your time and appreciate the council discussion. And going back to you, Town Manager Ells, for the next part of our presentation.
That's right. My final item this evening.
Yes,
David Anthony, Director of Property and Risk Management, will provide us with an update on Barnstable's efforts to apply for Green Community Certification. At your next Town Council meeting, there's a workshop planned to discuss the approach recommended by the Building Commissioner and supported by the Town Manager to develop and receive approval for a modified stretch code. We plan to have panel members of the building trade and from the state to discuss the Building Commissioner's proposed approach to this matter. So at this time, I'll ask David to come up and talk about Green Community Certification.
Thank you, Town Manager Ells, and good evening to the Town Council President and to the other Town Councilors. Sarah, if I could ask you to put up my presentation. Given the late hour, I will try to make this relatively brief, and we will move through this at a pretty good clip. For the purposes of, we start back in 2008, which was the Green Community Act, which essentially was set up to inspire towns to take on this idea of energy savings and renewable energy, both to help the bottom line, but also to improve cooperation between the town and between the state entities that were there. What it also did was establish money that was available, seed money, that many towns felt that they needed in order to put in renewables and to do some of the community projects. You established your rights to get some of that money by becoming a green community through the state certification. Next slide, please. So in 2010, our green team, which was made up mostly of town employees, began to meet the requirements of 5 criterion to make our application for green community designation. A green vehicle plan and an energy reduction plan and a baseline were established. They were proposed to become part of the town manager regulations at that time, but they were not formally adopted, partly because the issues involving the stretch code at that point in time were rejected due to community concerns and also concerns shared by then building commissioners. Next slide, please. Since 2010, the town has not been designated as a green community, but we have lived that ideal by being a green community by installing all sorts of renewables on large scale in cooperation with the Cape and Vineyard Electric Co-op. And we have taken advantage of millions of dollars through the Cape Light Compact to make our buildings and vehicles more energy efficient. Commencing in 2019, and our Infrastructure and Energy Committee, we started to push again for that designation to the point where we applied for and received a grant through the Cape Light Compact in the state to get some professional assistance. And Margaret Song from the Cape Light Compact, who has appeared before the town council with us back in September when we last updated you, she was excellent and continues to be an advocate and on our side moving through the process. Next slide, please. So in specific regards to the criterion that we're dealing with, number 1 is as of right siting for renewables, which has been in place since 2010. The expedited permitting element has been in place since 2010. Both of those, in order to formulate our application, if we were going to move to that full application to the state, simply need to have current legal certification on letterhead saying that they both exist and both meet the criteria. A relatively easy lift and something where we have sample letters from other communities so that we know exactly what the wording needs to be. These two are essentially done and simply need updated lettering. Next slide, please. Criterion 3 has been the heavy lift. This has been development of an energy reduction plan, which starts as an energy baseline against which the goal is to come up with a plan to reduce your energy consumption by 20% over 5 years. Ironically, if we had used 2008 as our baseline, we would have been close to 30% energy reduction from that baseline, simply because of the things that we have done since then. Unfortunately, now our baseline is going to be incorporating all of those energy efficiencies, and it is going to be a challenge to reach 20%. But the effort is still the same. We had to audit 65 buildings, which is just wrapping up now. It has been a 6-month effort, complicated somewhat by COVID, but basically because our buildings are so large, so complicated, and so numerous and spread out over a very large town, it has been a rather heavy effort to get through all of those buildings. The energy reduction plan framework has already been established based on what we know would be a successful and passable energy reduction plan, which would need to be approved by the state. But that energy reduction plan also requires adoption by both the school committee and the town council, and official letters would need to be included saying that we have one in place. So at some point in the future, if we decide to move forward with full application, which seems to be the indication, we would be presenting an energy reduction plan to this body, the town council. Next slide, please. Criterion 4 is a fuel-efficient vehicle policy. It's generally called the green vehicle policy. However, it doesn't require electric vehicles, even though we do have some in our fleet. We have over 325 municipal plates of all types. Now, that does include trailers and some equipment, but we have a rather large fleet. But a plan that would go into effect is going to only affect a narrow band of vehicles, because all of your emergency response vehicles and all of your heavyweight vehicles are exempted from the plan. We have about 45 vehicles that then need to meet certain miles per gallon categories. And this plan would also need to be presented to the school committee and to the town council. So that plan would also come forward for your approval at some point in the future, which brings us to criterion 5. Next slide, please. As has been set up by the town manager at the March 18th town council meeting, a workshop is tentatively scheduled so that the building commissioner can talk about his efforts to meet the requirements of Criterion 5. I have received confirmation from the state that Lisa Sullivan from the Southeast District of the Green Communities Division will be attending with her. She's making available certain code experts that would be able to help inform and answer questions specifically about the codes. And we're looking at having a third person on the panel, a developer who has experienced the codes from the other side, has had to put them into place, who has had to deal with energy requirements, changing codes, interpretation, local interpretation, and state regulations. That panel is meant to help town councilors and also help inform town employees as to what we're looking for at that workshop as an outcome of considering Brian Florence's plan to meet Criterion 5. Next slide, please. It's important to note that in 2021, we have a very different environment for applying than since last year. Previous years, there had been a single date in the year in which you needed to have your packet in. There was one date for application. They are going to be moving towards a rolling admission as there are fewer communities left who are applying for green community designation. So there's going to be a window that opens up from July 1st through December 30th, and applications will be accepted when they are ready. However, official guidance has not come out yet as to any minor changes that will be in place. So we are moving forward with the other 4 criterion to try to make sure that we're ready to go when the time comes. That's the extent of this update at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Anthony. Great presentation. I really appreciate you being with us this evening. I requested that the workshop take place on the March 18th meeting and talking with leadership, town manager's office, and obviously yourself. I appreciate, again, that update to know where we are and what we are doing moving forward. And that being said, any other councilor questions, comments? Missing anybody there? Town Manager Els, did you want to follow up with anything?
No, I don't think so at this point. The intent of the workshop certainly is to be able to understand how we're proceeding on this. The ultimate decision relevant to the stretch code, and Attorney Nova's here if you want to ask more detail, would be an ordinance passed by the town council. So this is the town council's decision. I've supported the building commissioner's recommendation because I believe it's appropriate, both given what he's proposing and the past history, having this brought before town council in the past and failing, and then informally discussed with town council and not proceeding. So I do think there's merit in being certified as a green community, and we hope that our approach that we'll share with you will get us there, and if not, we'll continue to look at options and hopefully proceed to that certification. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation and communications again, everybody involved at this point. So that all being said, Councilor Vice President Schnepp, if you could, yes, please.
I'd like to move approval of the minutes of the town council meeting held on February 18th, 2021.
Second.
In a first and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, just double checking. Excellent. Madam Clerk, call the roll call vote, please.
Councilors, Etzlis,
Yes.
Bogan,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Cullum,
Yes.
Dagwan,
Yes.
Rap Grissetti,
Yes.
Hebert,
Yes.
Levesque,
Yes.
Neary,
Yes.
Neff,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Steinhilber,
Yes.
13 yes.
Excellent. At this time, I would like to bring forth councilor communications from boards, committees, commissions. Announcement. Councilor Heber, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. And councilors, I asked, and I know that our administrator, Cindy Lovell, sent out to all of you a report of the activities of the Cape Cod Regional Technical High School. And I'm proud and really honored to serve as a representative along with Mr. Len Gobeil, representing the town of Barnstable's interest at one of the 12 towns that make up the Cape Cod Regional Technical High School. And as you know, it's a brand new building. I was fortunate to be able to go through the building. It's a beautiful facility, well designed, well put together. And I ask you to please take some time to review the report. It is very inclusive. It talks very specifically about how our students are doing at school, their levels of achievement, the courses that they're doing. It's a very, very, very complete report. I do hope that you take the time to look at it. And I do hope that when the COVID is over, that many of you will have an opportunity to come and visit the school. It is something that we should be very, very proud of. And as we're seeing, the high cost of going off to college is not for everybody. The tech school prepares our young people for many, many trades and things that we need for our world. And so it's a grand activity, and we are proud to be part of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Heber. Any other council communications? Councilor Neary, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to get some information out on February 9th. We had our first meeting of the Zoning and Permitting Regulations Advisory Committee. Director Jenkins was kind enough to cover some topics, including kind of bringing us up to date on the Route 132 zoning that had been visited a few years back, an update on inclusionary zoning. I find it terrific. I'm going to be educated on all the facets of zoning in the town of Barnstable, and our next meeting will be on March 9th, 2021, where again, I think we'll be diving into hopefully at least some instruction as to how zoning was created, what it intends to serve, the protections for the residents of the town, and maybe hindrances that we can kind of quantify. And with that also said, it would be great to kind of dovetail that with the new comprehensive plan. So going forward, we'll have a plan going down the road in the future, try to streamline what we do as a town. Look forward to it. That's 5:30 this coming Tuesday, March 9th.
Thank you, Councilor Neary, and thank you for taking on the task of chairing that committee. Appreciate your time. Councilor Steinhofer, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. As a quick update, the Asset Management Advisory Committee met back on February 17th. We discussed a package of properties that will at some point in the coming months come before the council, prepare them to go out to bid. We also talked about a couple of parcels that staff will be working with the Housing Trust Committee, a couple of town-owned parcels that may be suitable for some affordable housing development. We had an update on the Katuitt Elementary School and the interest expressed from the Katuitt Fire District, possibly working out an arrangement where they would take that property over, at least in part, and use it for their business purposes. And we did get a quick update on the Marston's Mills Elementary School, which the committee did recommend that we move forward in the capital process to have that building demolished. It is a safety hazard, and it does cost us money to maintain it. It's minimal, but it does cost us money each year. And that particular project did make it through the first cut of capital planning, and we'll see how that unfolds. But that was our basic agenda for that meeting. We're meeting again on March 24th at 5:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Steinhilber. At this time, I just want to, now that we had reports from both the zoning and regulatory and the asset management, again, these committees are advisory. As the council president, and I've been working with Vice President Schnepp, it's important that we make these committees specific task orientated, and what makes it on their agenda we are aware of. There's no surprises necessarily, and the reason why I'd like to see, and I encourage more updates like this, is that the public is engaged and the public is known, and moving forward, the website's updated and the things, and we're working on those things. And to be quite honest with you, we did not inherit a perfect process, because there isn't one necessarily, but we are working on making it better, constantly moving forward. Again, not casting blame on past, but again, improving as we move forward. So I just, I thank you for, again, listening, your understanding, and again, these are advisory. Anything that comes out of this committee still needs to be under review by the town council, if not other entities such as zoning and regulatory, that has to go through the planning board. So this is no way, shape, or form of, moving or, going around a certain process. These committees are there to enhance the process. So I think I just want to make sure that that's communicated and that's clear. And so if anybody has any questions, again, get my contact information on the website, talk to these chairs, attend these meetings, the public meetings, and again, those things are there. Take a deeper dive into certain issues and that we're going through, zoning and regulatory and education, as Councilor Neary mentioned, and asset management. Managing the properties that we have to make sure we're utilizing those in the best interest of the town. So thank you for that. Councilor Cullen, please.
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate Patty Machado and the Youth Commission on another successful 7th grade youth summit this year. Although different than prior years, it was actually the year that my son could benefit from it and did. And I was concerned about the medium, honestly, because it was, those of you who've come to the youth summit before, it's a really engaging, really exciting place to be, where the kids can really figure out what might interest them, and just how to protect themselves, and just kind of the whole culture that we have in Barnstable about caring for our kids once they go to the big school. And I was at work, but my son called me and said, this guy is really inspirational, which was really cool to hear from a 13-year-old who's not with anything but Doritos. So I just wanted to say thank you again. Cliff Crosby was the guest motivational speaker who was an NFL. Was it NFL? I don't know. Professional football player. I don't know which league. But apparently made a big mark on Dante and his friends, and they've been talking about it since. So although the change in medium it still was a really valuable experience for them. So thank you for persevering, and we look forward to getting to the Cape Cod Community College again next.
Thank you, Councilor Cullen. Councilor Clark, please.
Thank you very much, President Levesque. Through my liaison attendance to the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District, we found out that there is a grant opportunity from the National Trust for Historic Preservation and the American Express, and it's aimed at supporting local restaurants that have been around for at least 25 years and are in historic buildings or historic neighborhoods. If perhaps you know a restaurant in your community that would qualify, the grant would provide $40,000. 25% of the grant can be used for general operating costs, and the remaining 75% must be used to upgrade, preserve, the building and exterior. And more information can be found on the National Historic Preservation, National Trust for Historic Preservation. So there are some local restaurants that have old buildings, and they could use a shot in the arm in this pandemic time. So I nominated the Dolphin Restaurant in Barnstable Village. And now, in regards to my position as liaison with the Shellfish Committee, I should say that the new shellfish licenses are now required as of March 1st, and oyster season will end on March 31st. So heads up to those who are interested in shellfishing. Finally, I applaud all those who worked hard to get the 2 vaccination clinics set up at Cape Cod Community College. I'm very proud that we can offer that to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Clark. Any other council communications? As I've always stated, the last couple of meetings, the Mass Military Support Foundation Food Box Program at the Transportation Center is still alive and well, even amidst the construction. You would have to take the detour if you're coming to the Transportation Center through Yarmouth Road down to Main Street, bearing a right on Main Street, and coming up to the Transportation Center, either through the Transportation Center itself or Ridgewood Avenue. So it's still working, but just be patient, as it might take you a little longer to get in and out. So, but if you're looking to register, you can go to Mass Military Support Foundation website, mmsfi.org. Thank you. So, and also wanted to, I attended the school committee meeting last night as a liaison to the school committee. They are still in the middle of the budget process. I would encourage anybody, especially the counselors, if you can review the last 2 meetings in regards to that. It's very detailed, and it talks about vision that they, in our joint, they have a subcommittee that's discussing that, and it will come to the full committee to determine and move forward on. So again, lots of discussions, and lots of, again, the budget activity that we'll be reviewing during our budget season. So don't see any other hands up at this point. And with that, I would say that we need to take a 5-minute break, and we will come back with Nate Mayo from Vineyard Wind for an update. So 5 minutes, please. Take the time, but please return. I have 9:16. Please return by 9:21. Thank you. in the waiting room?
Yes, they are. I was just waiting for you to come back from your break before I brought them over. I'll bring them over now.
Yes, please. Thank you. Okay. If anybody who is muted or the video off, you can just bring your video on. That would be helpful. If not, we do have quorum, so we can move forward. I just wanted to welcome Nate Mayo and Jack Aruda with Vineyard Wind, and they're here to give us an update. Without further ado, I turn it over to you, Mr. Mayo.
Thank you, President Levesque. It's good to see you all. I'm also joined here by Rachel Pachter, our Chief Development Officer, and Chris Rodstrom, our Technical Design and Permitting Manager. So some of the technical team, and then and Rachel, who runs the development team. You all may be familiar with some of these faces.
Yes.
I will be brief with you guys. We do have one slide that I wanted to pull up. We can bring that up at the moment. I'm not going to go through the long form, which we presented to you folks for numerous meetings. This is our map of the on-land construction proposals. Vineyard Wind 1, which we've been talking about for a number of years now, is the blue line to the east, and we're anticipating construction in the fall. And we've also just been discussing it at least one previous meeting and with some of the councilors and in our community meetings, Vineyard Wind Connector 2, the yellow line, slated for construction sometimes in 2023. And we're at the beginning stages of permitting that, which will go through a similar process. And we're in host community host community agreement discussions with staff on both sides, and those are going well. I will let folks know that this is on our website, this map here, vineyardwind.com/Barnstable. And we can get into more details here or offline or at one of our community events for folks on the council or residents listening in if they want more information. We can take that down, I suppose, and I can just go very briefly through an update of where Vineyard Wind is at right now. At the federal level, we've gotten some very good signals from the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, the primary federal permitting agency. They have resumed review and have given word that they intend to issue the final environmental impact statement, which is the sort of comprehensive report which will lead to the final federal permits for Vineyard Wind 1. We hope this spring. And that, at long last shores up the timelines that we've been looking at, and those have obviously significant implications for this sewer collaboration that the technical staff at the town and with Vineyard Wind have been working on for quite some time. That's the sort of high level of what we've got here. We are complete on state and local permitting for Vineyard Wind 1 and are really at the initial phases for Vineyard Wind Connector 2. Just a quick reminder, the HCA, which many of these the members here followed and ultimately supported, and obviously town staff had a huge hand for over a year to craft. We're seeking some updates to that in conversation with them on that, and they will be bringing some of those items before you. I know Town Manager Mark Ellis has brought those general updates that those conversations are ongoing. The revenue implications, though, are there in addition to property taxes. We're discussing there's a $16 million supplemental payment for each phase of those projects. So phase 1 and phase 2, $16 million each. The sewer collaboration, we've come to understand, will result in significant town savings. There's full roadway repaving, a broad roster of protections at the municipal level, seasonal restrictions, and other environmental considerations. And the only thing I'd like to sort of remind folks here is our community and stakeholder engagement, which has and remains the sort of cornerstone of our development effort to communicate with communities, with environmental interests, with ocean users, and that has continued apace in the era of COVID. We've all had to make do with this, but it's worked okay on our end as we've used these digital tools. We have maintained regular community-related events while we host and participate in a broad range of community events, including appearances at your civic associations, neighborhood associations, and the like. We also host our own events, very Barnstable specific, to discuss the ins and outs of what is anticipated for the town of Barnstable. Our next one is, I believe, on the 9th at noon, and you can find that information on the vineyardwind.com website, as can residents. That's easy to sign up. It's a Zoom meeting. We go through a run through and take questions, give you the latest updates. We have several of those, though, planned throughout the spring, and we reiterate our openness. A number of counselors have pointed us in the direction of community groups that we've then reached out to and been able to give briefs to and have a Q&A. I will kind of leave you with the fact that we're shifting to potentially, very likely we're going to be starting construction in the fall. We hope to continue this level of outreach in the fall as we approach construction and there's actual movement going on. People's roadways are going to get opened up. There will be machines out there, so we want to make sure there's no surprises as best we can by keeping the neighborhood informed and keeping a regular liaison with you and also with town staff. So with that, I can take your questions, and of course we'll welcome any further discussions if we want to get into the weeds here or elsewhere.
Thank you for that presentation, for that update. Any other councilor questions, comments? Not seeing any. Always appreciate your outreach, Nate and team, and the way you go about it and try to leave no stone unturned. I know as a counselor, I appreciate it. Always informed, always reaching out, and again, because of that, our community is well informed about what you're doing and the benefits to our community. So I appreciate you being with us. Thank you for the entire team for taking the time to be with us, and again, it's much appreciated. So I don't see any other, just making sure. Yeah, so again, thanks for spending time, and you have a great rest of the evening.
Thank you all for your attention and your commitment to this, and we're here for you for any questions. Our team's available.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks, Nate.
Excellent. So that concludes that presentation, and now we can move on to the orders of the day. I would ask the council to indulge me. I'm going to take an item out of order. I'm actually going to take the item of new business and move it in front of the old business because of the librarian, Kelly, being with us, and I didn't want to keep her for the entire meeting. And I know Maddie's here as well, and Director Newman, I should say. And so without further ado, I would ask Councilor Clark if you could read into the record item number 2021-131.
Very much, President Levesque, and thank you for your consideration to take this item out of order. So this is new business, may be acted upon by a roll call majority. Agenda item 2021-131, acceptance of an Institute of Museum and Library Services CARES Act grant in the amount of $3,430 from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners by and through the town to the Weldon Memorial Library.
Second.
Very good. We got a first and a second, and Director Newman for the rationale, please.
Good evening, President Levesque. I think actually, Kelly, are you prepared to give the rationale? Kelly?
I'm happy for you to give it, Madeline.
Oh, okay.
Fine.
Okay. All right.
But I'm here to answer any questions anybody might have.
So this is an acceptance of a grant for $3,430 from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners to the Weldon Library. And this will allow for programming in partnership with the Long Pasture Wildlife Sanctuary of the Massachusetts Audubon Society. The Weldon Library did some surveying among their library participants, and nature and science were very popular. And so they are working in partnership to create a citizen scientist program. So this will allow citizens to become educated and support the research efforts of scientists. And they're very excited to be able to use this funding, which is, again, it's interesting because the award was made by the state of Massachusetts to the Wealdon Library, but it has to come through the town of Barnstable. So that's why we're here before you to have it accepted. But essentially, this will be a pass-through. Once you vote to accept the funding, it will be passed over from the town to the Wealdon Library. So it can be used for its intended purpose. If you want to add anything on?
It is part of the Federal CARES Act. So and it came through the Mass Board of Library Commissioners. It was a competitive grant, and we were one of 20 other libraries in the state to receive the funds. So the trustees and I are very excited that our proposal was accepted, and it's a very nice award for the patrons and citizens in West Barnstable.
Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for being with us too.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. My pleasure. And any councilor questions in regard to that? Councilor Shaughnessy and then Councilor Clark.
I just wanted to say what a wonderful collaboration with Long Pasture Wildlife Sanctuary and the Massachusetts Audubon Society. I think this sounds like it's going to be a wonderful program, and congratulations to you.
Thank you. We're very excited about it. Because of this, we're also able to add a community calendar to West Barnstable so that all of the, and have it reside in the in Wealdon Library's website, so that hopefully anybody from the town who's interested in these programs will be able to register and attend.
Thank you. Councilor Clark.
Thank you very much, President Levesque. And thank you, Kelly, for your lovely presentation. We're very proud that you won this competitive competitive grant opportunity. I do want to stress, though, that I have attended several of the talks at the Wealdon Library, and a lot of them are science-based and are extremely popular, but that the outreach is not just for the West Barnstable community, but that Wealdon serves a broader community than just the West Barnstable Village. I wanted to make sure that, to mention that it has a clientele that is far reaching beyond our borders. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Councilor Clark. Any other councilor communication questions? Not seeing any. I would move to a vote, please.
Councilors Bogan,
Sorry, yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Cullum,
Yes.
Dagwan,
Yes.
Rapcorsetti,
Yes.
Hebert,
Yes.
Levesque,
Yes.
Neary,
Yes.
Neff,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Steinhilber,
Yes.
Atzler.
Yes.
13 yes.
Excellent. Thank you again, Kelly. Really appreciate you being with us, and congratulations.
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome. Take care. Have a great evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Moving on to old business now. Councilor Paul Neary, if you could read into the record item number 2021-076 and open the public hearing, please.
Sure will. Thank you, Mr. President. This is item number 2021-076. It's a public hearing and can be voted on with a roll call majority vote. The supplemental appropriation order in the amount of $37,000 for the purpose of funding seasonal salaries and wages for the fiscal year 2021 Golf Enterprise Fund operations as written.
Second.
We have a first and a second, and back to Director Noonan for rationale, please. And also here is Bruce McIntyre. Welcome. Appreciate you.
Good evening again, President Levesque, members of the Town Council. Bruce and I are very happy to be here with you tonight to request a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $37,000. This is to help fund our seasonal salaries and wages for the Gulf Enterprise Fund operations. And if approved, these funds will be provided from the Gulf Enterprise Fund reserves. So it's no secret or surprise to any of you that golf, bursted in popularity during COVID. It really, I think, could be defined as the ultimate social distancing sport. It's provided a lot of healthy outlets for our community, both our physical health, our social connections, and just our general mental well-being to be able to golf. And I really think it's been a huge success for the town over the past year. And I want to thank Bruce and all of our exceptional golf team for making that such a quality experience for our members and pass holders at Old Barnstable and Hyannis. So all of this comes with an added cost due to all of the safety protocols that we've been required to adhere to. That has resulted in us at this point using up 76% of our seasonal wages line item at Old Barnstable and 81% at Hyannis. So to get us through the end of this fiscal year as we approach the really busy spring season, we're asking for this appropriation just to make sure that we have sufficient funding to staff both courses appropriately. And Bruce did a great analysis that really breaks down. You can look and see sort of by the numbers what that has meant for us, in terms of cleaning and disinfecting golf carts, all of the balls and buckets, not to mention all of the spaces, having staff that are available to kind of help monitor and, kind of provide security to make sure that, everybody's keeping a safe distance. So that is, where we're at, that we want to make sure as we go into this busy season, and we're anticipating, again, another extraordinarily busy year. A lot of new people that came into the game last year, we want to encourage them to keep participating. This is a really positive growth opportunity for golf. And, we hope that you will support this request. And Bruce is available as well to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Director Noonan. Any questions for Director Noonan or Bruce, for that matter? Any questions? Not seeing any. I'd like to open the public hearing. And is there any anybody from the public in waiting, Sarah?
There's no public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. And not having that, I would close the public hearing. And still not seeing any comment, I would move to a vote, please.
Oh, go ahead.
You want to say something, Councilor Clark? Councilor Starr?
No, and I thought Mr. Hebert might have had his hand up, but
You did.
I did, thank you, but then I thought we were going to take a vote, but I just wanted to thank Mr. McIntyre for taking with us all night to get to this point, and fine job. And I know it was a difficult one because of the COVID, so thanks for your good work out there. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Stoff.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Did not see the hand there. Feel free to speak up and grab my attention next time.
No problem. I know the work that you're doing.
I bet you do.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Madam Clerk, vote please.
Councilors Clark,
Yes.
Cullum,
Yes.
Dagwan,
Yes.
Rapcorsetti,
Yes.
Hebert,
Yes.
Levesque,
Yes.
Neary,
Yes.
Neff,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Starr,
yes.
Steinhilber,
Yes.
Atzlis,
Yes.
Bogan,
Yes.
13 yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you for being with us and sticking it out for the duration. I really appreciate you being here.
No
Not
problem.
as late as the last time we were here.
That's right.
It was after the midnight hour. This is early.
After midnight, to be honest with you.
The night is still young.
Yeah.
Feel free to hang out. Feel
Yeah,
free to hang out.
absolutely. All right, moving on to the next item of business, Councilor Starr, if you could read into the record and open a public hearing for item number 2021-077.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. This is a supplemental appropriation order in the amount of $5,000 for for the fiscal year 2021, airport operating budget for the purpose of funding the administrative costs associated with the airport master plan update planning project. This is a public hearing with a roll call majority vote. And here comes the rationale.
Here comes the rationale. From our
I'll
faithful
second that.
Thank you.
Community service.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here tonight. Just wanted to go really quick over the rationale for this. Basically, some background on the project. The airport is requesting an increase in their operating expense budget to cover the cost of administration for master. So I've listed it appropriations. We had one in 2017 and one in 2018 for $1 million for our creation. However, the cost of the project and the grant received from the Federal Aviation over $1 million. $5,000 administration fee was never added to the original appropriation. That $5,000 is typically used for administration fees such as legal ads that we put into paper for master plan, press release type costs that are necessary as we bring ourselves. So the table that you see there is the administrative expense that was included in the grant, airport planning fee, and then the total. So the request here is for $5,000. 95% of that administrative cost paid by the FAA and MassDOT Aeronautics. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Director Service? Seeing any? Like to open up the public hearing. Sarah, do we have anybody waiting to speak on this item?
There's no public at this time.
Okay. Very good. Not seeing any comment. I would move to a vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Excuse me. Counselors, Cullum,
Yes.
Dagwan,
Yes.
Rappersetti,
Yes.
Hebert,
Yes.
Levesque,
Yes.
Neary,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Steinhilber,
Yes.
Etzler,
Yes.
Bogan,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
13 yes.
Excellent. Thank you. And just moving on to the next item, the Councilor Shaughnessy, if you could please read into the record and open the public hearing for item number 2021-078.
Certainly, President Levesque. This is old business, public hearing, roll call majority, full council. This is item number 2021-078, supplemental appropriation order in the amount of $470,000 for the fiscal year 2021 budget, Airport Enterprise Fund operating budget for the purpose of purchasing aviation jet fuel for resale. As written.
A first and a second. Katie for the rationale, please.
Great, thank you. A little bit of background. The airport is requesting an increase in the 2021 operating expense budget to cover the cost of jet. The request is the reason for the request is due to recent increase in jet sales. So just to give you a little bit of information about why we're seeing this increase. During the onset of COVID-19, across the nation, I've seen corporate jet traffic. Because of that, we are seeing at our airport for those corporate aircraft using our facility in purchase. For the fiscal year 2021 budget, allocated about 900,000 gallons that we need to purchase in that year. But as of the end of February, we had already sold nearly 1,000 gallons. To date, the airport has sold 18% more fuel per gallon versus year 2020. You can see the numbers there, about 600,000 versus where we are right now. From February through June, the airport has historically between 25 and 27 fuel loads, and that's the average that we purchase a month. Typically, the months of February, March, April, those are our quieter months, and we start increase in May and June. In this past January, we actually sold 120% more in January versus 2020 than we have past. So due to the increases, the airport has noticed that this trend will most likely continue. We anticipate the need of about 38 loads of fuel from now through June versus 27 or 5. The cost is about $25,000 per load. We do have funds available in our budget right now, about $500,000. So we're seeing a need of at least $428,000. The appropriation request for $470,000, and it includes about a 10% just as a. Any funds remaining at the end of the fiscal year will be returned to the airport enterprise funds, and the sale of jet fuel will replenish the airport's on the. That's all I have. Question.
Excellent. Councilor Atzeles, do you have a question?
I do. Thank you, Mr. President. Just curious, what's your markup on the fuel?
So we have a $2.10 markup. We just increased it to $2.25. So on average, about right today it was $4.46 average gallon of fuel. And we do have discount fuel programs, some of our high volume.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Council Starr.
My question was, there are more corporate flights coming down. Are people who own houses down here flying their corporate jets down? Is that, I mean, is that what it is?
That's what we're seeing. We're seeing that a vast majority, as soon as COVID happened, many homeowners that lived in New York and New Jersey started to transition to Cape Cod with second homes. They worked from their Cape Cod home. It was more convenient for them. And so we saw a huge uptick. And we didn't see a lot of corporate jets staying overnight. We would see them come in at the beginning of the week and come back during the weekend, which is kind of different. We usually see more of a weekend impact. So it was definitely folks that were coming in and trying to get away from during COVID.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Starr. Any other questions? Councilor Neary, please.
Thank you, President Levesque. Director Service, how does our fuel prices relate to other airports in the area? New Bedford, Nantucket, those places. Are we in the same ballpark? Are we higher, lower, equivalent? Just curious.
We have been notoriously lower than other airports in the area. We just did an analysis of our fuel program probably, I want to say about 6 months ago. We worked with Mark Milne to see, if there are any changes that we can make to our program. Obviously, we want to be competitive, but we don't want to be in such a manner that we're really low in our fuel. Due to that analysis, we realized that we were too low. So we've recently just increased that dollar amount for to cover our overhead as well as the typical mark. So we're now more in alignment with other airports. You have to monitor it to see if you need to make fluctuations.
Correct. Yeah, just as a follow-up, I agree. I know the Oak Bluffs Harbor was selling fuel cheaper on the fuel dock for boats than you could buy fuel at the same station on the street for your automobile. it actually did create an opportunity because I know jet fuel, these tend to be high-end clients, those type of things, but it created an opportunity where folks were bypassing Falmouth Harbor and gassing up in Oak Bluffs because it was cheaper to get the fuel. Just a point of.
Yeah, and we just experienced that as well with Nantucket, where we were very surprised that they had a lower rate than us, because typically they're usually several cents higher, but they were lower this week. So it's always a game that you have to play a little bit, get people in by.
Okay. Any other councilor questions? Sarah, just want to open up the public hearing. Is anybody waiting to speak on this item?
Not at this time.
And I would close the public hearing and not seeing any other questions. Madam Clerk, for the vote, please.
I'm sorry about that. Counselors, Dagwan,
Yes.
Rapcorsetti,
Yes.
Hebert,
Yes.
Levesque,
Yes.
Neary,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Steinhilber,
Yes.
Atzflis,
Yes.
Hogan,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Cullum,
Yes.
13 yes.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank you, Katie, for being with us this evening. Appreciate it. And yeah, congratulations on the increased sales in the fuel.
Thank you.
Yeah. Silver lining, COVID silver linings. Always looking for those. So moving on to the next item of old business. Councilor Rapcorsetti, if you could read into the record item number 2021-081 and open the public hearing, please.
Yes, this is old business. Public hearing, roll call, majority full council. Item 2021-081, appropriation order in the amount of $70,000 for community data and visioning project consultant in support of a local comprehensive plan update as read.
Second.
First and a second, and Director Jenkins for the rationale, please.
Good evening, councilors. Elizabeth Jenkins, Director of Planning and Development. As just noted by Councilor Rapcorsetti, this is a request for a $70,000 for a community data and visioning project consultant in support of our update to our local comprehensive plan. As we've discussed, a local comprehensive plan is a way to interpret the community's visions and the values we seek to protect here in Barnstable. It's a way to anticipate, coordinate, and balance policy decisions related to the growth and development, infrastructure, economy, and resource protection. This request is for consultant services to develop and implement a plan to engage, involve, and collaborate directly with the public to develop a shared vision for our community's future. Supported by town staff and in cooperation with the designated local comprehensive plan committee, as previously discussed, the consultant will first compile, analyze, and showcase relevant demographic, economic, and community land use data that will be used to set the table for objective conversations between the town, residents, and other stakeholder groups. Additionally, the consultant will provide support for convening the community through a series of outreach methods to assess perspectives on core values and perceived challenges and opportunities. The aim is to use innovative, creative, and diverse public participation strategies to overcome any limitations to physically convening and ensure participation in the process is well-rounded and inclusive, and ultimately results in partnership and trust building with our community. I'd be remiss if I didn't just take a moment to recognize and thank some of my talented comprehensive planning staff that have been supportive of these efforts, Gloria McPherson and Kate Maldonado, who've helped to push these efforts forward. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Before I actually entertain the questions, I'd actually open the public hearing at this point. Sarah, do we have anybody waiting to comment?
There's no public comment on this at this time.
Okay, so I'll open the public hearing and then close the public hearing, and now we can open up for questions. Councilor Neary, please.
Thank you, President Levesque. Director Jenkins, is this consultant an in-house consultant, or have you vetted and found a consultant outside town staff?
This would be for outside consulting services. We have not begun that process. Again, I think it's important to put our local comprehensive planning committee in place and to really start this entire effort in a grassroots fashion, including scoping the project and consultant selection.
With a follow-up, so the process will be to kind of create the selective committee, formulate a rough outline of plan, and then seek outside consultants' help to try to drive all that together. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. And you know, I not to be sort of soft on what we think the deliverables are going to be, but I do think it's important that although we have a very strong and solidified vision for where we're going, that we leave it open to again, to make sure that this process is put together in collaboration with our community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Neary. Councilor Atzelis, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Director Jenkins, so the consultant, what's the vetting process for determining the consultant that you're going to use for this project? That's my first question. I'll ask my second one after that one's answered.
So this, at this value, this would have to go through a procurement process, which again, we would establish minimum qualifications for selection of a consultant, put out an RFP, and then evaluate responses to those proposals as they come in relative to the criteria that's established in that consultant selection.
Okay. My second question is, thank you for that. Given how talented our staff is this not something that our own staff could conduct, or does it have to be handled by an outside consultant?
I think that's a great question, and we obviously evaluated that. I mean, in terms of looking at the scale of public outreach that we want to do, I'll be honest, I don't think we have the in-house manpower to organize multiple events, surveys, workshops, mapping capacity to engage the community at that scale. You know, that's a tremendous effort if you're really looking at a community of our size and our complexity. Again, to organize community engagement tools, which truly do that outreach. It takes a lot of manpower, and so while we're certainly looking to supplement this as much as possible with other resources. So a good example is we have done in partnership with the Cape Cod Commission some of the sort of initial groundwork for this, some of the mapping, some of the demographic analysis, and we continue to look for opportunities to do some of that. The community engagement process is just one that is going to require a lot of people on the ground to interact with individuals, and I do think needs this additional.
Thank you.
That was a great question. Thank you, Councilor Atzelis. Thank you, Councilor Jenkins, for the response. Any other questions? Councilor Bogan, please. Then Councilor Rossetti.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins, I know it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg question, but why would you not engage the consultant early to help the town manager and the town council president in constituting the steering committee?
I mean, from my perspective, putting that steering committee is, you know, together, I think is going to be a process that, that is very specific to our community, and knowing the individuals in our community and the different sort of perspectives that we want represented on that committee. So, certainly we can sort of, I think a consultant might bring, best practices or advice into that. I see that as almost an intimate process that I think the council and the manager are best to conduct.
Let me just suggest, I disagree, because it seems to me by the time the consultant comes in, the cake is half baked at that point. So it seems to me that if you're looking at best practices, you're better off engaging the consultant early so that they can speak to their experience in other towns and what they believe, who they believe the relevant stakeholders are. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, I just, again, defer to the comments I think that, that town manager Els made, and that, the local comprehensive planning committee are certainly, it's one way to engage, and, they're a thread that will carry through this process. But ultimately the goal is, to engage, again, broadly and deeply in our community through various forms and groups and techniques. So again, the root of this process is not just engagement, not just outreach, but true collaboration and partnership building with our community in establishing that community vision. But thank you. We will certainly go back and look at.
Thank you, Councilor Hogan. Councilor Rapicetti, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Elizabeth. So 10 years ago, was a consultant used the same way? Do you know?
Yeah, so the process that we used 10 years ago was one that was much different than the one we engaged in today. I believe they didn't hire a traditional consulting firm. I believe additional staff was brought in to supplement at that time. In terms of sort of looking back on that process, it wasn't necessarily clean. The LCP process last time started around 2005 and didn't conclude until 2010. So, I think there's some lessons learned there. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're looking for the support. So we can, make a plan, implement a plan, evaluate that plan, and make sure that this process stays on track and meets expectations.
So with regard to time frame, the consultant, what do you envision? How long do you envision this consultant?
So onboarding or the process as a whole, Councilor?
No, requiring the consultant's services. When you put out the RFP, how long do you anticipate the contract?
Yeah, I mean, I see this first step at the process of one taking between 9 and 12 months. I think we have an opportunity over the summer to do some really effective outreach. To really people get out and about during the summer to really meet people where they are. So again, not sort of having all of those engagement techniques defined. I can certainly see spending the summer implementing a number of core engagement strategies, but I guess overall, in terms of the arc of this process, this sort of first step, being between 9 and 12 months, overall plan development for the local comprehensive plan being between 18 months and 2 years.
Thank you.
Councilor Clark, please.
Thank you very much, Councilor. And thank you, Elizabeth, for your eloquent introduction and the explanation to justify this expenditure to update our local comprehensive plan. And I embrace these plans, and I don't think we use them enough. But as you know, and others, that I had experience with the town's development of the open space and recreation plan that was done with a consultant. And in fact, that was one of the factors in nudging me to run for town council, because that document had pages of serious errors, both in formatting and substance, where a reference to a key was a photograph and duplication of numbers. So I'm hoping that when we take on this consultant, we have a high grade of a high product that we can be proud of in the town of Barnstable. And that, I don't mean to say that so much as a criticism, but that surely is, we need a professional document if we're going to be dropping that kind of money.
I share the same ambition, Councillor Clark. I mean, we want this to be, you know, a meaningful and effective document, and of course, you know, addressing that from, you know, from all angles is critically important.
Any other councilor questions, comments? Okay. I don't have to switch to another screen. This is the only screen I have. So we've already done the public comment, public hearing. So without any further questions.
Councilors. Raptor Steady.
Yes.
Hebert.
Yes.
Levesque.
Yes.
Neary.
Yes.
Neff.
Yes.
Shaughnessy.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Steinhilber.
Yes.
Atzler.
Yes.
Bogan.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Cullum.
Yes.
Dagwan.
Yes.
13 yes.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I think this is an important piece to moving forward and, you know, just also getting an outside perspective. So I appreciate your support in that. Moving on to the next piece of old business. Vice President Schnepp, if you could read into the record item number 2021-082 and open the public hearing, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is old business requiring a public hearing and a roll call majority full council. Item number 2021-082. Appropriation order in the amount of $92,945 for the treatment of the invasive species hydrilla in Long Pond, Centerville, and Mystic Lake and Middle Pond, Parsons Mills.
Second.
First and second, and rationale, please.
Thank you, Councillor Levesque, Elizabeth Jenkins, and now for something completely different. This, again, is an appropriation order for the treatment of invasive species in Long Pond, Centerville, Mystic Lake, Middle Pond, Marston's Mills. The town annually manages the growth of the invasive non-native plant hydrilla in these lakes and ponds with an EPA-approved chemical treatment. There have been significant advancements in the understanding of how this treatment can be dosed and applied to achieve maximum efficacy with minimal impact over the last several years. And some of these advancements have been supported by data collected and the experience gained working on Barnstable ponds. There's evidence to support that hydrilla is ultra sensitive and susceptible to fluoridone in the very earliest stages of growth. Effective control can be achieved with lower doses of the herbicide with a shorter exposure time if it's applied with a pre-emergent treatment approach. Using this pre-emergent approach not only improves efficacy, but significantly reduces the potential non-target impact to native species. So again, we are looking to begin this chemical treatment this year in May, ahead of the budget schedule for all the reasons noted, and thus are bringing this request forward at this time. I'd like to recognize and thank Darcy Carley, our conservation administrator, for her fantastic work on this program, as well as Karen Malkus and Amber Unra in DPW. They are our very talented Lakes and Ponds team and do a great job managing this and other Lakes and Ponds efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Jenkins. Any comment, question? without seeing any, I would like to say, not only because it falls in my neighborhood, is that I appreciate, not only as a council but as a constituent, your ability in recognizing that we need to do it earlier, and that we need to just plan earlier. Most definitely because of climate change and things. The treatment needed to be earlier. So I know that the Indian Lakes Association will be very pleased to know that this is moving forward. They will find comfort in that their water issues will be mitigated quickly. So that is always a big concern for the Indian Lake people in that organization. So thank you for that, and thank you, staff, from us, and specifically myself, for that hard work and recognizing and moving forward with that plan. So, not seeing any other.
President Levesque, we do have public comment on this item.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, you're the best. Anybody for public comment?
Ms. Carey, you have 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, Ms. Carey, that I almost skipped you. I apologize. My apologies. So I know you've been with us. So. Tina, go ahead. Tina, are you there?
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I live on Wolf Pond. They've been spraying the pond now for 20 years. Yeah.
I can hear you.
Hello?
Go ahead.
You can't hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes. Tina, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Well, they've been spraying for 20 years, and all they've done is spread. Hello? Oh, God.
Yeah, Tina, hold your phone.
Yes, I would like you to postpone voting on this because they just passed a new law. It was on the Cape Cod Times about spraying a certain chemical that's killing all the bees. So I'm wondering if you.
Was that it, Tina? Tina, can you shut off the television? That might help.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. You may want to turn off the television so that you're not, because it's.
I don't have the television on. I've got two machines going. I don't know which one I'm supposed to talk in. But anyway, I was wondering if they can do some research on this because it's only just spread and it's also linked to this cyanobacteria that we're now getting, the chemicals that are going into the pond. And I'm downwind of that on Long Pond, and we've had 3 people die of cancer, all my abutting neighbors, because we get all the wind from it when they spray it. They use airboats or something when they do it. So it's all airborne. So it does affect the bees. Nothing grows here on the Route 28 side of Long Pond because it kills all our grass. It's killing the trees. You can't have any perennials. They just die. So it's really having a serious effect after 20 years, and now it has spread into all these other ponds. So whatever we're doing, we need to try something different. This spraying isn't working. There are fish that eat this weed. It's an invasive weed from people putting their aquariums, dumping them into ponds and lakes and stuff. It's some weed that they used to sell in pet stores. It's also brought up by the ducks from Florida because hydrilla is all over Florida and down south because they use it in their septic treatment plants because I guess it filters out bacteria from septic systems. So I'm at the point now with this hydrilla thing and all this spraying and the devastation that I see that's going on with it, that it's really time to like call Woodsole or some scientists and try something different. I mean, nobody wants the weed, but we have, bittersweet that's everywhere. I don't know if anybody knows that it's like an octopus under the ground. You can't get rid of it. And once you get all that free mulch from the dump, all you're doing is bringing all this bittersweet into your yard. I mean, I go around cutting down Bitter Street and trying to pull it up. You can't. It's just ungodly. But, we're just not getting anywhere with this spraying. And they keep saying, oh, it's a safe spray. But really, there's no such thing as a safe herbicide. It kills something and it lets other things live. It's bad. Herbicides are bad and it's airborne and it's killing the bees. So I would suggest that you call the Barnstable Bee Association to find out if this new chemical that was just banned this week is in what they're spraying, this sonic, what they're spraying, if it has this chemical that is no longer allowed in Massachusetts. And also, there are fish that eat this weed, but no one likes to hear it. But grass-eating carp, all you need is 2 fish for a mile worth of space. So, I mean, if you put 2 carp in there and then you caught them at the end of the season, it would be much healthier than spraying pesticides.
Okay.
So I'd like you to postpone the vote if you could.
Oh, okay. We'll take that into consideration, Tina. Thank you for taking the time and thank you for being with us this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Do any councilors want to respond to public comment? Councilor Atlas.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Ms. Carey's comments brought to mind a couple of questions. Director Jenkins, have we used this type of treatment before? And if we have or we haven't, either this treatment or previous treatments, how long does it typically last? And those are my initial 2.5 questions.
Those are great questions. We have used this treatment before. We've been running this invasive species program for at least 10 years. And hydrilla is a very persistent and very evasive weed that needs constant management. We do treat on an annual basis. We, of course, get our treatment evaluated and permitted to reduce any sort of annual impacts at this point, especially with this pre-emergent treatment. We're at extremely low levels of this aquatic herbicide, less than 4 parts per billion application. We did a comprehensive assessment of the efficacy of other treatments, potentially without using chemicals. A year or 2 ago, we've actually switched to mechanical and suction-based harvesting in some of our other ponds based on the ability to effectively manage. In these ponds, given the persistence of these weeds and its continued growth, in order to protect our native species in the pond from being overwhelmed by this weed, as well as the recreational enjoyment in the pond. We have, again, in cooperation with our talented team, continue to recommend this approach.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Atzelis. Any other, Sarah, is there any other public comment?
No other public comment at this time.
Okay, then we close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Bogan, please.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm clear. I think Elizabeth might have answered my question. So do I understand that, in fact, we have looked at the environmental and health effects of the treatment substance and modified the treatment methodology based upon that assessment?
That's exactly why we're here tonight, Councillor Bogan. We continue to evaluate how we can get good results with as little impact as possible and as little use of herbicides as possible. Again, we feel like moving the treatment up to the pre-emergent approach will allow us to use less herbicide with more efficacy. And again, we do feel like it's necessary to use this approach at this time. There's no way at this point either are, putting some of the other techniques we use are putting down mats or actually diver assisted suctioning. Really the spread and the pace of spread in hydrilla at these ponds, this continues to be the recommended approach.
Thank you.
And again, this goes to the best practices type of approach that Town Manager Ells put in just a few years ago in regards to using herbicides on town-owned and town-maintained properties. So, Councilor Shaughnessy.
Thank you, President Levesque. Director Jenkins, how is the herbicide applied to the water bodies? Is it sprayed or is it placed in the pond?
So it was actually my impression that it is actually applied directly into the water body and not sprayed. But I'm sorry, Darcy Carley is not here. She would definitively know the answer to that question. I believe it's actually mixed with the water and not sprayed, but I would have to get back to you on that question.
Any other councilor questions? Public hearing is closed. And without any other questions, I would move to a vote, please.
Councilors Hebert.
Certainly listening to Mrs. Carey. I hope we continue to pay attention to those comments, but I will vote yes.
Levesque.
Yes.
Neary.
Yes.
Neff.
Yes.
Shaughnessy.
I'm going to abstain.
Starr.
Yes.
Steinhilber.
Yes.
Atzelis.
Abstain.
Bogan.
Abstain.
Clark.
Abstain.
Cullum.
Yes.
Dagwan.
No.
Rapkerstetti.
Yes.
Okay, I have 7 yes, 1 no, and 4 abstain.
Okay, it passes, right?
Yes, it's a roll call of the full majority.
If I may, Mr. President, I think it passes, but I'm not sure the numbers add up.
Yeah.
I got 12.
Right.
Yeah, it should be 13.
Yes. I had 8 yes. I had 8 yes.
Yes, you're
We're
correct. I apologize. There was 8, yes.
Yep.
So there were 7.
No problem. Okay.
It does pass, yep.
Excellent. Great work tonight, everybody. Thank you for indulging on the honoring of Mr. Reed and Mr. Morrison and the update and all the talk, good talking about public engagement and the local comprehensive plan. I really appreciate all your time. And I would take a motion to adjourn and a vote, please.
So move.
Second.
First and a second, roll call.
Counselors. Neary,
Yes.
Knapp,
Yes.
Shaughnessy,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Steinhilber,
Yes.
Atzlis,
Yes.
Bogan,
Yes.
Yes.
Clark, Cullum,
Yes.
Dagwan,
Yes, and good night.
Rossetti,
Yes.
Hebert,
Yes.
Levesque,
Yes.
13 yes.
Excellent. Well, good night, everybody. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Director Jenkins, Assistant Manager Clyburn, Karen Nober, Attorney Colling.
Night.